They called him a monster, locked him up, tried to dissect him like a lab rat. Big mistake, because when you trap a genius with scrap metal, he doesn't rot, he builds. And what came out of that warehouse changed the entire shinobi world forever.
The explosion painted the night sky orange over Konoha. Not the kind of orange that came from sunsets or autumn leaves or any of that poetic garbage. This was the orange of burning metal, melting steel, and 3 Root Ambu operatives discovering, in the worst possible way, that they had locked a 7-year-old boy in a warehouse full of scrap metal and explosive tags. Their mistake. Their last one. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's rewind about 6 hours. The warehouse sat at the edge of Konoha's industrial district, forgotten, rusted, full of decommissioned ninja tools, broken kunai, bent shuriken, rolls of copper wire, busted water pipes, and enough explosive tags to level a city block. The kind of place nobody visited and nobody cared about, perfect for hiding a body. 3 masked Anbu, no headbands, no identification, Root operatives loyal only to the bandaged warhawk Danzo Shimura, dragged a small blonde boy through the doors and threw him onto the concrete floor. The boy skidded, rolled, and came to a stop against a pile of scrap iron. His orange jumpsuit tore at the shoulder. Blood ran from a cut above his eyebrow. He didn't cry. He hadn't cried since he was 4. "Stay here," the lead operative said. His mask was a blank white oval. No animal, no identity. "Lord Danzo will send someone to collect the body in the morning." "My body?" the boy asked. "The Kyuubi's body," the operative corrected. "You're just the container, and containers are meant to be opened." The 3 operatives left. The warehouse door slammed shut. Sealing tags activated across every exit. Reinforced barrier jutsu, military grade. Even a jonin would struggle to break through. The boy sat in the dark. His name was Naruto Uzumaki, orphan, Jinchuriki, village pariah, 7 years old. Currently locked in a warehouse and scheduled for dissection. Most kids his age were learning to throw kunai. Most kids his age had parents to tuck them in at night. Most kids his age didn't have a giant demonic fox sealed in their gut and a shadow government trying to carve them open like a science project. Naruto wasn't most kids. He sat there for about 30 seconds. Then something happened. It started the way it always started, with the dreams. Since he could remember, Naruto had dreams that didn't belong to him. Dreams of machines, of flying, of a blue light in a metal chest. Dreams of equations that scrolled across his vision like living things, formulas for propulsion and energy conversion, and structural engineering that a 7-year-old had no business understanding. Dreams of a voice, dry, British, impossibly patient, saying, "Sir, I would advise against that course of action." Dreams of a man in a cave, wounded, dying, surrounded by scraps and enemies and certain death. And the man built his way out. Naruto opened his eyes. The darkness of the warehouse didn't look like darkness anymore. It looked like a workshop. He stood up, wiped the blood from his face, looked around. Copper wire, iron plating, explosive tags, which were really just paper-based chemical energy storage if you thought about it the right way. Broken water pipes with intact pressure valves. A forge in the corner that still had coals. Kunai steel, high carbon, decent tensile strength. Leather straps, glass from shattered lanterns. His hands moved before his brain caught up. He grabbed a piece of charcoal and started drawing on the concrete floor. Blueprints. Not ninja blueprints, something else entirely. Something from a memory that was 10,000 years old and from a world that ran on electricity instead of chakra. The design was crude, ugly, bulky. It looked like someone had welded a garbage can to a furnace and strapped rockets to the back. It was perfect. Naruto cracked his knuckles and grinned. "Tony Stark built one of these in a cave," he whispered to himself, "with a box of scraps." He looked around the warehouse one more time. Scrap metal, explosive tags, a forge. "I've got better than scraps." He got to work. It took him 4 hours. 4 hours of hammering, bending, welding with explosive tag detonations, carefully controlled to microbursts, wiring pressure systems with copper tubing, and lining the interior with leather padding ripped from old equipment bags. He burned his fingers 11 times. He didn't stop. The pain was background noise compared to the symphony of creation happening in his skull. The chess piece came first. Always the chess piece. He didn't know why he knew that. He just did. A circular housing made from layered kunai steel, packed with a coil of copper wire wrapped around a core of compressed explosive tags. When he channeled his chakra, that wild red bottomless chakra that the fox inside him leaked like a broken faucet, into the coil, it didn't just flow. It converted, purified, stabilized, a miniature reactor. Primitive, dangerous, beautiful. It hummed to life in his hands, glowing a dim blue-white, and Naruto felt tears prick his eyes for the first time in 3 years. He knew this feeling. He'd felt it before, in another life, in a cave on the other side of existence. He wasn't going to die here. The rest of the suit went together fast. Gauntlets with crude repulsor vents, really just directed chakra blast channels, but the principle was the same. Leg bracings with boot-mounted thruster nozzles fed by pressurized steam from the water pipes. A chest plate, a back plate, a helmet hammered from a single sheet of iron with eye slits cut by kunai, the Mark I. It was 7 feet tall, it weighed 300 pounds. It looked like a walking junkyard. Naruto climbed inside and sealed it shut. The chest reactor flared. Power flooded the suit. Steam hissed from every joint. The gauntlets whined as chakra cycled through the copper coils. Outside the warehouse, the 3 root operatives sat on a rooftop playing cards. Their orders were simple. Wait until dawn, confirm the brat was dead from exposure and starvation, deliver the body to Danzo's labs. Easy mission. Boring mission. The warehouse wall exploded outward, not broke open, not cracked. Exploded. A 20-foot section of reinforced concrete and steel disintegrated into rubble and dust, and out of the cloud of debris walked something that didn't belong in this world. A metal giant. Crude. Steaming. Glowing blue at the chest. Flames licked from the gauntlet vents. The ground cracked under each step. The lead operative dropped his cards. What the? The metal giant raised its right arm. The gauntlet vent flared white hot. Repulsor blast! A beam of compressed chakra energy, raw, unfiltered, converted into directed thermal force by the copper coil array, hit the lead operative in the chest and launched him backward through 3 walls. He didn't get up. He wasn't going to get up ever again. The second operative moved fast, root training, shadow clone fight into a Tanto strike aimed at the suit's neck joint. Naruto didn't dodge. He didn't need to. The Tanto hit the iron plating and snapped clean in half. Seriously? Naruto's voice echoed inside the helmet. That's your move? A knife against this? He grabbed the operative by the face with one massive iron gauntlet and slammed him into the ground hard enough to crater the street. The third operative ran. Full sprint. Body flicker jutsu into the shadows. Yeah, no. Naruto raised both gauntlets. The chest reactor surged. Both repulsor vents fired simultaneously. Wide dispersal, low focus, high area coverage. Dual repulsor spread! The entire rooftop lit up like daylight. The fleeing operative caught the edge of the blast and went tumbling off the building in a trail of smoke. 3 root ambu. Trained killers. Danzo's best. 12 seconds. Naruto stood in the wreckage, steam pouring from every joint in the Mark I. The suit was already falling apart, welds cracking, pressure seals failing, the chest reactor flickering. It was never meant to last. It was built to do one thing, get him out alive. Mission accomplished. Now he just had to deal with the flying part. The boot thrusters were the most unstable component. Naruto had jury-rigged them from water pipe pressure valves and explosive tag propellant. They had maybe 90 seconds of fuel. Maybe. He fired them anyway. The Mark I launched off the ground with all the grace of a brick thrown by an angry giant. Naruto rocketed upward at a 45-degree angle, spinning, wobbling, trailing smoke and sparks. The Konoha skyline blurred beneath him. Wind screamed through the eye slits of his helmet. The left boot thruster coughed, sputtered, and died. Oh, that's not good. The right thruster overcompensated. Naruto spun wildly to the left, arcing toward the Hokage monument. Those 4 giant stone faces carved into the mountainside, overlooking the village. That's really not good! Crash! The Marco hit the top of the Hokage monument at approximately 60 miles per hour and carved a trench through the stone surface 30 feet long, showering the village below with gravel and sparks. The suit broke apart on impact. Chest plate flying one direction, helmet another, gauntlets shattering against rock. Naruto tumbled out of the wreckage, rolled across the stone, and came to a stop on his back, staring up at the stars. He was bruised, bleeding. covered in soot and metal shavings. He was grinning so wide his face hurt. He reached into his pocket. Somehow, through the explosion, the fight, the flight, and the crash, the pair of tinted sunglasses he'd stolen from a merchant stall last week had survived. He put them on, and then he laughed, loud, free. The laugh of a boy who had just punched the universe in the mouth and liked the taste. 60 feet away, standing on the observation platform of the Hokage Monument, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, the god of shinobi, the professor, stood perfectly still. His pipe had fallen from his mouth. His Ambu guard had drawn their weapons. None of them moved. They all stared at the 7-year-old boy lying in a crater of his own making, surrounded by the burning, sparking remains of a machine that should not exist, wearing sunglasses at midnight. Hiruzen had fought in 3 wars. He had battled tailed beasts. He had seen jutsu that warped reality itself. He had never seen anything like this. "Naruto," he said quietly. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. "What did you just do?" Naruto sat up, adjusted his sunglasses, looked at the old man with a grin that didn't belong on a child's face. "I improvised." Hiruzen stared at the burning wreckage of his root operatives visible in the distance. He stared at the crude chest reactor still glowing faintly in Naruto's lap. He stared at the trench carved into the monument. He understood. In that moment, with a clarity that chilled him to his ancient bones, the third Hokage understood. The boy's mind was the most dangerous weapon in the world. The fallout was immediate and enormous. Danzo denied everything, obviously. 3 dead operatives? What operatives? Root was officially disbanded years ago. Tragic accident. The boy is unstable. Perhaps he should be placed under supervision. Hiruzen shut him down so hard the council chamber went silent for a full minute. "You will not touch that boy," the third Hokage said, and his killing intent filled the room like a physical weight. "You will not look at that boy. You will not send your agents near that boy. If I find another root operative within 100 meters of Naruto Uzumaki, I will burn your entire operation to the ground. Am I understood?" Danzo understood. He didn't like it, but he understood. The civilian council wanted answers. What was that explosion? What was that machine? How did a 7-year-old build a flying metal suit? Hiruzen gave them nothing. Classified. S rank. Need to know. But the truth spread anyway. The way truth always does in a ninja village. Through whispers, the demon brat built something. Something impossible. And for the first time, the whispers carried something other than hatred. They carried fear. Good. Let's skip ahead. Not because the years between 7 and 12 were boring. They absolutely were not. But because Naruto Uzumaki didn't waste a single day, and listing every invention would take a library. Here's the highlight reel. Age 8, Naruto figured out electricity. Not chakra-based lightning release. Actual electrical current. Copper wiring. Magnetic induction. Generators. He built a small hydroelectric turbine in the river behind his apartment using stolen academy textbooks on water flow dynamics and memories from a dead man who graduated MIT at 17. The lights came on in his apartment. Then his building. Then his entire block. The daimyo of Fire Country heard about the boy who made light without fire and sent an envoy. Age 9. Naruto patented the printing press. Movable type. Mass production of written material. In a world where every book was hand-copied by monks or scribes, this was a nuclear bomb to the information economy. The daimyo bought the rights for the Fire Country market at a price that made Naruto the richest 9-year-old in history. He used the money to buy the warehouse where he'd almost been killed. Tore it down. Built a workshop in its place. 3 floors. Underground testing lab. Reinforced walls. A sign over the door that read Stark Industries, tomorrow's future today. Nobody in Konoha knew what Stark meant. Naruto didn't explain. Age 10, plumbing, indoor plumbing, running water, flush toilets. The daimyo's wife nearly wept with joy. Another patent, another fortune. Age 11, Naruto built JARVS. This one was harder. Artificial intelligence didn't translate neatly to a world without computers. But Naruto didn't need computers, he had something better. Fuinjutsu, the art of sealing, was the closest thing the ninja world had to programming. A seal was just a set of instructions written in chakra-reactive ink. Input, process, output. If you knew what you were doing, And Naruto knew, because Tony Stark had once created an AI capable of holding a conversation with a god. You could stack seals in recursive loops, create decision trees, install memory banks. It took him 7 months, 300 failed prototypes, one accidental fire that destroyed his living room. But when it was done, when he activated the Master Seal Array embedded in a custom-built headset, a voice spoke. Dry, British, patient. Good afternoon, sir. I am JARVS, just a rather very intelligent system. How may I assist you? Naruto cried. He sat in his workshop at 11 years old and cried like the child he'd never been allowed to be, because for the first time since he'd been born into this world, he heard a voice that felt like home. Then he wiped his eyes, put on his sunglasses, and said, JRVS, let's build some suits. Very good, sir. Shall I begin with safety protocols? Skip the safety protocols. I anticipated you'd say that, sir. I prepared a list of reasons why that's inadvisable. Delete the list. Already backed up to 3 redundant memory seals, sir. Naruto grinned. I missed you, buddy. We've never met, sir. Yeah, but I missed you anyway. By age 12, Naruto Uzumaki was unrecognizable from the orphan who'd been dragged into a warehouse 5 years ago. He was tall for his age, lean. His blonde hair was styled, not wild, swept back with an intentional messiness that said, I woke up like this but also spent 20 minutes on it. He wore tailored clothes, dark slacks, fitted black shirt, a burnt orange vest that was definitely silk because he'd invented the silk loom too, tinted sunglasses. Always, he walked into the Ninja Academy on graduation day like he owned the building. He did. He'd paid for the roof repairs last year. The other students stared. They always stared. Naruto Uzumaki was simultaneously the most famous and most infamous person in Konoha. The civilian sector worshipped him. His inventions had improved their quality of life more in 5 years than the ninja system had in 50. The ninja clans distrusted him. A child who could build weapons beyond their understanding was a threat they couldn't categorize. The elders feared him. The daimyo adored him. The village's women, both young and old, found him annoyingly charming. He had, after all, introduced perfume to the elemental nations. Naruto Uzumaki, Iruka called from the front of the class. Naruto stood. Every eye in the room followed him. Yo! Please demonstrate the clone jutsu for your graduation requirement. Naruto lowered his sunglasses and looked at Iruka over the rims. Iruka-sensei, my man, my guy, you want me to make a clone? A basic illusory clone? I just donated a heating system to the entire academy campus last winter. It's the graduation requirement, Naruto. Naruto sighed. He raised one hand. A storage seal on his wrist pulsed. A small drone, a metal sphere the size of a fist, powered by a miniature chakra reactor, floated out of the seal and hovered beside his head. It projected a perfect holographic copy of Naruto next to him. Same clothes, same sunglasses, same smug expression. The hologram waved. The classroom erupted. That's not a clone jutsu, Iruka shouted. It's a clone, and it required jutsu-grade chakra to operate, Naruto said. Technically qualifies. It does not. Naruto pulled out a scroll. Section 14, subsection C of the Konoha Academy graduation standards. A student must demonstrate the ability to create a passable replica of themselves using their own chakra. Nowhere does it specify the method. Iruka opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. He's right, Shikamaru Nara said from the back of the room, not even looking up. Troublesome. Naruto graduated. He also left Iruka a gift on his desk. A self-heating tea mug with a seal that kept any beverage at the perfect temperature indefinitely. The card read, "Thanks for not hating me. NU." Iruka kept that mug for the rest of his life. Team assignments came next, and this is where things diverge from any version of history you think you know. In another timeline, a boring one, Naruto would have been placed on Team 7 with Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno under Kakashi Hatake based on simple class rankings. Dead last with top student. Standard balancing, but Naruto Uzumaki wasn't dead last. He wasn't top of the class either. He'd skipped most of the practical exams out of pure disinterest and aced every written test with scores so high the graders thought the answer sheets were broken. He existed outside the ranking system entirely. He was an anomaly, and anomalies made administrators sweat. Hiruzen placed him on Team 7 anyway. Kakashi Hatake was the only jonin in the village who had a prayer of managing him. Not controlling, managing. You didn't control Naruto Uzumaki any more than you controlled a hurricane. You just pointed it at something and hoped for the best. So, Team 7. Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno. Jonin Sensei, Kakashi Hatake, and that brought them to the bell test. Training Ground 3, 6 a.m., overcast, chilly. Sakura Haruno arrived first because she was responsible and punctual and believed in making good first impressions. She wore her red chapao dress and her headband like a crown. Sasuke Uchiha arrived second because he was intense and disciplined and couldn't stand the thought of anyone training before him. He wore all black, hands in pockets, scowl firmly in place. 6:15 a.m., no Naruto, no Kakashi. 30 a.m., still no Naruto, still no Kakashi. 7 a.m., Sasuke's scowl deepened. Sakura fidgeted. A bird sang, the wind blew. 70 a.m., the ground started vibrating. Both Jinin felt it at the same time. A rhythmic thudding like a heartbeat in the earth, growing louder and closer. Sakura looked down the path that led to the training ground. Her eyes went wide. A carriage was coming down the road. Not a normal carriage. Not a horse-drawn wooden cart or a rickshaw or any of the standard transportation methods used in the elemental nations. This was a machine, sleek, black, gold trim, running on 4 rubber-wheeled axles powered by a compact steam engine that hummed with a low, steady purr. The chassis was polished to a mirror shine. The windows were tinted. There was a small flag on the antenna, the Uzumaki spiral in red and gold. It pulled to a stop at the edge of the training ground. The steam engine sighed and went quiet. The door opened. A shoe emerged. Black leather, Italian style, a design that didn't exist in this world until Naruto had invented Italian style. Naruto Uzumaki stepped out of his custom steam-powered luxury carriage wearing a 3-piece charcoal suit with a burnt orange pocket square, a black shirt unbuttoned at the collar, and his signature tinted sunglasses. His blonde hair caught the morning light. He carried a red and gold metal briefcase in his left hand. A small floating drone hovered at his shoulder, and projecting a faint blue holographic display that only Naruto could read. "Good morning, sir," JRIS said through the nearly invisible earpiece in Naruto's left ear. "Your teammates appear to have been waiting for approximately 90 minutes. The Uchiha looks ready to commit violence." The Uchiha always looks ready to commit violence. That's his whole thing. Naruto walked toward his teammates. He stopped, looked at Sakura, lowered his sunglasses. Sakura, looking radiant as always, loved the bow. Sakura's brain short-circuited. She'd spent 3 years in class with Naruto and still couldn't reconcile the fact that the village's most notorious orphan dressed better than the daimyo's son and talked like he was doing everyone a favor by being there. "You're late," Sasuke said. "I'm on time. I'm just operating on a different schedule than you. See, you run on tradition. I run on efficiency. My schedule accounts for the fact that Kakashi won't be here for another." He checked his wrist, where a small mechanical watch ticked smoothly. 22 minutes. Sasuke's eye twitched. "Also," Naruto added, "I brought coffee." He reached into the carriage and pulled out a thermal canister. Actual brewed coffee, another Naruto Uzumaki invention that had taken the Fire Country by storm. He poured himself a cup, took a sip, and sighed contentedly. "You built a car?" Sakura asked, pointing at the carriage. "I built a lot of things. The car is the one I bring on dates." "You're 12. And 22 minutes later, a puff of smoke appeared on the memorial stone. Kakashi Hatake materialized, slouching, one hand raised in a lazy wave. "Yo, sorry I'm late. A black cat crossed my path and I had to." He stopped. His single visible eye locked onto the steam-powered carriage, then onto Naruto's suit, then onto the floating drone, then onto the metal briefcase. "Naruto, what is all of that?" "Wednesday," Kakashi blinked. He'd been briefed on Naruto. Every Jonin had been briefed on Naruto. The file was classified higher than most assassination records. But reading about it and seeing it were two different things. He cleared his throat, pulled out 2 silver bells, dangled them. "Right, the test. You 3 have until noon to take these bells from me. Come at me with everything you have, or you won't stand a chance." 2 bells, 3 students, Naruto observed, trying to pit us against each other. Classic divide and conquer team dynamics test. The real objective is cooperation. Kakashi's eye widened slightly. Most students don't figure that out until... I figured it out when I was 8. JARVS, pull up Kakashi Hatake's combat profile. The drone at Naruto's shoulder chirped as his voice came through clearly enough for everyone to hear. Kakashi Hatake, Jonin, age 26, known as the Copy Ninja. Sharingan I, left, over 1,000 copy jutsu, specialties, lightning release, tracking, evasion, reading erotic literature in public. That last one isn't a combat specialty, Kakashi said flatly. Debatable, Naruto replied. He's fast, he's smart, and he's annoying. Classic mid-tier boss. He turned to Sasuke and Sakura. Here's the plan. Sakura, stay at range and observe his patterns. You've got the best analytical mind in our class. Don't waste it punching. Sasuke, you engage from the left in 30 seconds. Draw his attention. Sasuke bristled. I don't take orders from, and I'll handle the rest. Handle it how? Sakura asked. Naruto set the red and gold briefcase on the ground, placed one foot on top of it. Kakashi felt something in his gut, the instinct that had kept him alive through a war, through Anbu, through decades of violence. It told him to move, to dodge, to get very, very far away from whatever was about to happen. Naruto pressed down. Clank, the briefcase split open. Metal plates erupted upward. They latched onto his shoe, his ankle, his shin, rising, clicking, folding, locking. The plates climbed his legs, wrapped his waist, snapped around his torso. His suit shredded away underneath as the armor consumed him. Arms, shoulders, back taut, snap. The chest piece locked in and the chakra core ignited. A brilliant circle of blue-white light that pulsed like a heartbeat. The armor sealed at the neck, gauntlets flexed, boots hummed with thruster energy. The faceplate descended, closed, locked, the eyes lit up. Kurama red. The Mark V stood in Training Ground 3, red and gold. Sleek where the Mark I had been crude, articulated where the Mark I had been clumsy. 7 feet of mechanized perfection that blended Ninja World Fuinjutsu with engineering principles from a dimension that hadn't been invented yet. Sakura's mouth hung open. Actually hung open. She forgot how to close it. Sasuke's scowl died. For the first time in years, his face showed something genuine. Shock. Kakashi slowly put his book away. What? The copy ninja said carefully. Are you? The faceplate tilted. The red eyes glowed. Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. And then Naruto moved. The thrusters fired. The Mark V launched forward in a blur of red and gold, covering the distance between Naruto and Kakashi in a fraction of a second. Kakashi, to his credit, reacted. He was elite. He was fast. He sidestepped, substituted with a log, reappeared 10 meters to the left. The log exploded. The repulsor blast hit it mid-substitution and turned it into splinters and ash. Repulsor blast! Kakashi dodged again. He was already lifting his headband, revealing the Sharingan, the spinning red eye that could track, predict, and copy any jutsu it saw. Naruto hovered 5 feet off the ground. Jets of blue-white thrust from his boots and palms kept him suspended. Sir, JR said inside the helmet, he's exposed the Sharingan. It can copy jutsu. Let him try to copy an arc reactor. Naruto raised both arms. Repulsor barrage! A dozen rapid-fire blasts of compressed chakra energy erupted from both gauntlets. They hit the ground around Kakashi in a pattern. Not random. Each blast cratered the earth and sent shrapnel flying, forcing Kakashi to dodge in a specific direction. Towards Sasuke. Sasuke saw his opening. Whatever grudge he had against taking orders, he was an Uchiha. He knew how to read a battlefield. He burst from the tree line, kunai in each hand, and engaged Kakashi in close combat. Kakashi blocked, countered, swept Sasuke's legs. The boy was good, but Kakashi was a jonin, and there was a canyon between those two ranks. Sasuke hit the dirt. Kakashi turned back toward Naruto. Too late. Naruto was already behind him. The suit speed was absurd. Not ninja fast, jet fast. A micro laser, paper thin, enough to etch a seal at 50 meters, flicked from Naruto's right index finger. The beam touched both bells simultaneously. Cut the strings. The bells fell. Naruto caught them in his gauntlet before they hit the ground. Total elapsed time, 19 seconds. Kakashi stood in the ruined training ground. Trees on fire. Craters everywhere. His vest was singed. His beloved book had a scorch mark on the cover. His Sharingan spun uselessly. It had tried to copy what Naruto was doing and found nothing to copy. There was no chakra technique to replicate. It was all engineering. You couldn't copy a machine. Naruto's faceplate opened. He tossed one bell to Sakura, one to Sasuke. There you go. Team building exercise complete. You. Kakashi stared. You planned that entire fight in between me pulling out the bells and you putting on the suit. I planned it last Tuesday, actually. JRIS ran 412 combat simulations against your known fighting patterns. Your most likely opening move was substitution, left bias. From there, the barrage herding pattern had a 98.6% success rate. Silence. Sir, JRIS added helpfully, it was actually 98.7. Don't correct me in front of my team, JRIS. My apologies, sir. Kakashi closed his Sharingan, pulled his headband back down, stared at the 12-year-old boy in the flying suit of armor. Then he started laughing. Quiet at first, then louder. The kind of laugh that happened when reality broke in a way you couldn't argue with. You pass, Kakashi said. All three of you pass. Naruto, I'd say try to go easy in the field, but I have a feeling that would be a waste of breath. Is it better to be feared or respected? Naruto said, stepping out of the suit. It folded back into the briefcase behind him. I say, is it too much to ask for both? He put his sunglasses back on, straightened his vest, picked up his coffee. Behind him, Sakura clutched her bell with both hands and wondered if she was dreaming. Sasuke stared at the briefcase with an expression that was halfway between rage and hunger. Naruto had just done in 19 seconds what Sasuke couldn't do in 19 years. Without jutsu, without bloodlines, without anything that the ninja world considered power, he'd just been made irrelevant, and he knew it. The Uchiha's fists clenched until his knuckles went white. Naruto noticed. He always noticed. He didn't say anything. Not yet. That conversation was coming. But not today. Today was a good day. He had a team, a teacher, and a bell. Tomorrow, he'd change the world. Their first real missions were D ranks because the village assignment system was a bureaucratic fossil that treated every new Genin team the same, regardless of whether one of them could literally fly. Naruto hated it. I'm not catching a cat, he said flatly, staring at the mission scroll. It's tradition, Kakashi said. Tradition is just peer pressure from dead people. They caught the cat. Naruto used the drone to track it in 4 minutes. The cat, Tora, loved him. It sat on his shoulder and purred. The daimyo's wife offered to pay triple the mission fee if Naruto would install air conditioning in her summer estate. He said yes. Business was business. After 2 weeks of D ranks, Naruto walked into the Hokage's office and made his case. Old man, I love you, but if you assign me one more fence painting mission, I'm going to automate the entire D rank system with drones and put Genin teams out of business. Hiruzen puffed his pipe. He knew Naruto could do it. He also knew that the Genin system needed reform anyway, and that this 12-year-old boy was somehow the most reasonable person in the room at all times, which said terrible things about the state of Konoha's leadership. Fine. C rank, escort mission, a bridge builder to the Land of Waves. Now we're talking. The Land of Waves arc, the story that turned Team 7 from rookies into legends, or, in this timeline, the story that turned Naruto Uzumaki from Konoha's richest weirdo into a name that entire nations would learn to fear. The bridge builder was Tazuna. Drunk, loud, judgmental, he took one look at Naruto's tailored outfit and scoffed. A kid in a fancy suit? I asked for bodyguards, not a fashion show. Naruto lowered his sunglasses. You're wearing a straw hat and sandals with mismatched socks. I don't think you get to critique anyone's wardrobe. Tazuna blinked, then laughed. I like this kid. The trip to Wave Country was supposed to be uneventful. It was supposed to be a simple escort mission against bandits and highway thugs. The Demon Brothers attacked within the first hour. 2 Chunin-level missing nin from Kirigakure. Chains, poison gauntlets. They burst from a puddle on the road, a classic ambush that relied on surprise and poison. Naruto didn't even break stride. JARVIS, threat level, 2 hostiles, Chunin class, poison chain weapon, 3-meter range, recommend. Skip to the part where I'm done. Naruto's right hand snapped up, a storage seal on his wrist activated. A single repulsor gauntlet, just the gauntlet, no full suit, materialized over his hand in a click of metal. The first demon brother swung his chain at Naruto's face. Repulsor blast! Point blank range. The blast caught the chain, melted through it, and hit the brother in the chest. He flew backward 40 feet and hit a tree so hard the trunk cracked. The second brother pivoted toward Tazuna. Sakura stepped in front of the bridge builder, kunai raised, hands shaking but holding. Brave. Good instincts. She didn't need them. Naruto was already there. The boot thrusters on his shoes, miniaturized, concealed, always active, fired for a quarter-second burst. He crossed 20 feet instantly. His gauntlet grabbed the second brother's wrist, twisted and snapped it. The man screamed. Naruto flipped him over his shoulder, rammed him into the road. "Stay down!" The man stayed down. Kakashi stepped out from behind a tree. He'd been testing them, watching to see how they handled a real threat. His visible eye curved into a smile. "Impressive." "I know," Sakura exhaled. Her hands had stopped shaking. She looked at Naruto with something that might have been the beginning of genuine respect. Sasuke looked at the melted chain links on the ground and said nothing. Tazuna stared with wide, bloodshot eyes. What are you?" Naruto deactivated the gauntlet. It folded back into the wrist seal. "I'm Iron Man." The truth about Wave Country came out fast. Gato, the shipping magnate who'd strangled an entire nation's economy, the mercenaries, the real danger level of the mission, A rank at minimum, and the real threat, Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist, former member of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen, A rank missing nin with a sword as tall as a man and a killing record that made Anbu operatives uncomfortable. They met him on the road to Tazuna's village. Mist rolled in from nowhere. Thick, cold, wet. "Hiding in mist jutsu," Kakashi said, pulling up his headband. Sharingan open. "Everyone, stay close. Protect Tazuna." "Kirigakure no jutsu." Zabuza's voice came from everywhere at once. Heavy, dangerous. The mist pressed in like a living thing. 8 points, the voice whispered. Throat, spinal column, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys, heart. So many places to kill, so many ways to die. Sakura trembled. Sasuke gripped his kunai. Even Kakashi tensed. Naruto put his sunglasses in his breast pocket and tapped his earpiece. JVS thermal scan. Full sweep. Inside the HUD projected by his small hover drone, Naruto didn't always need the full suit. Thermal imaging painted the mist in colors. Blue for cold, yellow for ambient, red for body heat. One bright red figure, 30 meters to the northwest, holding a massive sword, standing on a tree branch. "Found you." Naruto raised both hands. The dual gauntlets assembled from wrist seals in half a second. Unibeam. He slammed both gauntlets together. The twin reactors linked. A single, concentrated beam of pure chakra energy, white hot, screaming, 5 times the power of a standard repulsor, erupted from between his palms and fired directly at the red heat signature. The beam hit the mist and parted it. Just parted it. The fog exploded outward from the beam's path in a cone of displaced air. Trees in the beam's trajectory disintegrated. The ground beneath it turned to glass. Zabuza dodged, barely. The beam clipped his left shoulder and sent him spinning off the branch, Kubikira Bocho flying from his grip, his arm hanging limp and smoking. The mist cleared. The demon of the hidden mist stood in a ruined clearing, bleeding, one arm useless, facing a 12-year-old boy with glowing gauntlets. Zabuza's eyes were wide. Not afraid, he was too good to be afraid, but shocked, genuinely shocked. What the hell kind of jutsu was that? "That's not jutsu," Naruto said. "That's engineering." Zabuza bared his teeth. He grabbed Kubikira Bocho with his good arm, one-handed. The blade dragged through the earth as he swung it up. Water release. Water dragon jutsu. The lake behind them erupted. A massive serpentine dragon of water, 50 feet tall, roared into existence and lunged at Naruto. Suton Suryudan no Jutsu. The dragon was huge, powerful. A Jonin-level technique from one of Kiri's finest. Naruto flew up, thrusters blazing. He climbed above the dragon in 2 seconds. Smart missiles. Shoulder compartments on both gauntlets opened. 8 micro-missiles, seal-powered, heat-seeking, the size of pencils, launched in a fan pattern. They hit the water dragon at 8 separate points simultaneously and detonated. The dragon shattered. Water rained down across the battlefield like a monsoon. Zabuza charged through the rain. Even injured, even one-armed, the man was fast. His sword sang through the air. Kakashi intercepted. "Go!" Kakashi shouted, matching Zabuza blade to blade with a kunai. "I'll handle this! Protect Tazuna!" Naruto didn't argue. Not because he couldn't end Zabuza. He could, but Kakashi needed this. The man had spent years in Anbu, years in depression. He needed to fight, to prove he was still the copy ninja. Naruto landed beside Tazuna, deactivated the gauntlets. "Sir," JRS said, "I detect a second heat signature, hidden in the trees, monitoring, not engaging." Naruto's eyes flicked to the tree line. Hunter Nin mask, small frame, female, no, male, didn't matter, an accomplice. Noted. We'll deal with that when it comes. Kakashi and Zabuza fought. It was a good fight. Two Jonin-level masters clashing in water and steel and copied jutsu. Kakashi won eventually, driving Zabuza to exhaustion. The masked accomplice, Haku, swooped in, put Zabuza in a fake death state, and carried him away. Standard play. Naruto saw through it immediately. He's not dead, Naruto told Kakashi afterward as the Jonin lay exhausted on Tazuna's kitchen floor. I know, Kakashi said warily. He'll be back in about a week, recovered, ready for round 2. I know. I'm gonna be ready. I know. Naruto pulled a blanket over his sensei and left the room. There was work to do. The week in Wave Country was productive. While Kakashi recovered and drilled Sasuke and Sakura in tree climbing exercises, a basic chakra control training that involved walking up trees, Naruto took over Tazuna's bridge project, not the escort mission. The actual bridge construction. Tazuna was building a bridge to connect Wave Country to the mainland, breaking Gato's shipping monopoly. The bridge was half finished and behind schedule. Gato's thugs kept intimidating the workers. Half the crew had quit. Naruto looked at the blueprints, frowned, redrew them. Your support columns are wrong, he told Tazuna over dinner. You're using a straight pylon design. In saltwater with these tidal forces, you need angled buttresses with lateral cross bracing. Also, your concrete mixture is going to erode in 15 years. I'll reformulate it. Tazuna stared at him. Kid, I've been building bridges for 30 years, and this one would have collapsed in 20. You're welcome. Naruto spent the week building. He acquisitioned steel from a storage scroll. He always carried materials, and fabricated reinforcement beams with seal-powered spot welding. He redesigned the drainage system. He automated the heavy lifting with 3 construction drones he assembled from spare parts in Tazuna's workshop. The bridge went from half finished to 90% complete in 6 days. The workers, who'd been terrified and demoralized, watched a 12-year-old boy revolutionize bridge engineering while making jokes about their foreman's taste in hats. They'd never worked harder or faster. Something about Naruto made people want to build things. That was the legacy he carried. Tony Stark didn't just create machines. He inspired people to believe that tomorrow could be better than today. During the evenings, Naruto worked on something else. In Tazuna's basement, hidden behind a seal barrier, he built the Mark 7, not the briefcase suit, the real thing, the full suit, optimized for combat, streamlined, faster, harder hitting. Kurama's chakra, the Nine Tails' limitless energy, fed through the chakra core in his chest and powered systems that would make a Kage sweat. He also built something for the bridge, a surprise, for Gato, the bridge. Day of Naruto knew the attack was coming. JRVIS had been tracking movement patterns on the island, mercenary groups converging from 3 separate camps, Gato's personal yacht anchored offshore, and 2 familiar chakra signatures moving in from the north, Zabuza and Haku. Sir, JRVIS said as Naruto finished his morning coffee on Tazuna's porch. Hostile forces are converging on the bridge. ETA, 40 minutes. Zabuza Momochi and the masked accomplice are approaching from the north. Additionally, I detect approximately 300 mercenary signals gathering at the mainland dock. Gato appears to be bringing his entire force. 300? That's a lot of warm bodies. Indeed, sir. Shall I deploy countermeasures? JRVIS, have I ever told you you're the only friend I need? Frequently, sir, and each time it's equally concerning. Naruto grinned. He set down his coffee, stood up, cracked his neck. The bridge. Zabuza came first. He stood in the mist at the far end of the bridge, fully healed, Kubikira Bocho gleaming, Haku at his side in that porcelain hunter mask. The boy's mirrors were already forming in the air. Ice release. Kekkei Genkai. Deadly at close range. Kakashi squared up. Sharingan open. Ready. Team, Kakashi said. Defensive formation. Protect Tazuna. Negative, Naruto said. He walked past Kakashi, past Sakura, past Sasuke, straight towards Zabuza. Naruto, Kakashi started. I've got the swordsman. Kakashi-sensei, keep Haku off Sasuke and Sakura. The kids' ice mirrors are Sasuke's weak point. Fire release can only do so much against a demonic mirroring ice dome. He knew Haku's technique. He'd been studying the residual chakra signature from the Hunter Nin's first appearance. JRVIS had run the analysis. And how? Kakashi asked slowly. Do you plan to handle Zabuza? Naruto tapped his chest. The chakra core pulsed through his shirt, blue-white, steady, alive. The same way I handle everything. He raised his right arm. Storage seals across his body activated in sequence. Armor plates flew from the seals like metal birds, gauntlets first, then boots, then legs, torso, arms, back, shoulders, chest. The Mark 7 assembled in midair and locked onto Naruto's body in a walking sequence. Clank, whir, snap, click, hiss, hum. The faceplate descended, eyes blazed red. The Mark 7 was a masterpiece, streamlined, angular, red and gold, always red and gold. The chakra core hummed through the chest piece, visible and bright, thrusters in the boots and palms. Repulsor arrays in both gauntlets, a unibeam port in the chest, shoulder-mounted micro-missile pods, and something new, nano-repair swarms stored in the back plate that could patch damage in real time. Zabuza gripped his sword. His smile was all teeth. That's a nice toy, kid. Let's see if it bleeds. I prefer the weapon you only have to fire once. Zabuza charged, fast. Brutally, horrifyingly fast for a man his size. Kubikira Bocho swept in a horizontal arc that could bisect a horse. The blade hit the Mark 7's forearm guard and bounced. The impact rang across the bridge like a gong. Zabuza's arm shook from the recoil. Naruto didn't budge. The suit's stabilizers held him anchored to the bridge surface. My turn. Repulsor blast! Close range, right gauntlet, full power. The blast hit Zabuza in the sternum and launched him 50 feet backward down the bridge. He hit the concrete, skipped twice like a stone on water, and crashed into a support pillar. Zabuza got up, blood on his chin, snarling. Water release. Great waterfall jutsu. A tidal wave of water erupted from the sea below the bridge and surged over the railing. 10 feet tall, 20, 30. A wall of churning salt water aimed directly at Naruto. Daibakufu no Jutsu. The wave crashed over the armor. Water pressure that would crush a human body, hundreds of pounds per square inch, hit the Mark 7 point. The suit's lights flickered for half a second. Sir, J.R. Vyas reported, hull integrity at 94%. Minimal damage. See, that's the thing about water. Naruto's voice echoed from inside the helmet as the wave parted around him. It doesn't have very good structural integrity. The water drained. Naruto stood exactly where he'd been. He raised both arms. Smart missiles, full salvo! Both shoulder pods opened. 16 micro-missiles launched in a spiraling swarm. Each one tracked Zabuza's heat signature independently. They came from every angle, above, below, left, right, behind. Zabuza was a master swordsman. He deflected the first 3 with Kubikira Bocho's flat blade. The 4th and 5th he dodged. The 6th clipped his leg. The 7th through 10th hit the bridge around him and detonated in a chain of explosions. The last 6 hit him dead center. Boom. The section of bridge where Zabuza stood disappeared in fire and smoke. Concrete shattered. Rebar bent. When the dust cleared, the demon of the mist was on one knee. Kubikira Bocho planted in front of him like a shield. Armor cracked and bleeding from a dozen wounds. Still alive. Still fighting. Naruto respected that. You're tough, Naruto said. I'll give you that. Most people don't get back up. Zabuza spat blood, grinned. I'm not most people, kid. Neither am I. Naruto aimed the chest piece. The chakra core surged. The unibeam port glowed. Last chance. Walk away. Zabuza stared at the glowing chest. He knew what that beam could do. He'd seen it part the mist. He'd seen it turn trees to glass. Behind them, Haku's fight with Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura was unfolding. The ice mirrors had formed. Senbon needles flew in blizzards. Kakashi was cutting through them with lightning, Sasuke burning them with fire jutsu. Zabuza looked at Haku, the boy, his tool, his weapon, his everything. Haku, Zabuza said quietly. Yes, Zabuza-sama? Stand down. The ice mirror shattered. Senbon clattered to the bridge. Haku appeared beside his master, mask removed, eyes confused. But Zabuza-sama, we're done here. Zabuza looked at Naruto. I know when I'm outmatched. I've been a missing nin long enough to know the difference between a fight and a death sentence. Naruto's faceplate opened. He looked at Zabuza, really looked at him. Past the bandages and the sword and the reputation. He saw a man with nothing left. A man who carried a child he couldn't protect and fought for money because the world had left him nothing else. Tony Stark had been in that cave. Different chains, same desperation. You need a job? Naruto asked. Everyone on the bridge stared. What? Zabuza said. A job. Employment. You're talented, you're terrifying, and you clearly care about the kid. Gado's not going to pay you. He was planning to kill you after you finish this mission, by the way. JRVS, show him. The drone projected a holographic display of intercepted communications between Gado's mercenary captains, detailing the plan to ambush and kill Zabuza and Haku once the bridge builder was dead. Save money on the contract fee. Standard evil businessman play. Zabuza read the messages. His grip on Kubikirabocho tightened until his knuckles went white. That little, yeah, so here's my counteroffer. I pay triple what Gado promised. You and Haku get safe passage, clean slate, and as a signing bonus, Naruto grinned, you get to help me with what comes next. Which is? On cue, Jay spoke. Sir, Gado's mercenary force has arrived at the mainland end of the bridge. Approximately 300 hostiles, armed, approaching. Everyone turned. The far end of the bridge darkened with bodies. Hundreds of them. Thugs, ronin, bandits, mercenaries. Gado's personal army, led by the tiny man himself. Gado stood at the back of the crowd, smirking, cane in hand. Well, Gado called out. Looks like the ninja are all tired from fighting each other. Perfect timing. Kill them all. Kill the bridge builder too. I'm done paying for this bridge anyway. The mercenary army roared. 300 men charged onto the bridge. Swords, spears, crossbows, a human wave of violence. Team 7 tensed. Zabuza raised his sword. Haku formed ice Senbon. Kakashi gripped a kunai. Sakura swallowed hard. Sasuke activated his Sharingan. Two Tomoe newly awakened. Naruto walked forward, through his team, past Zabuza, past Haku. To the front of the bridge, he stood alone. 300 mercenaries charged toward him. The bridge shook with their footsteps. Naruto raised one hand. The repulsor gauntlet glowed. You know, I had a whole speech planned, he said. Something about freedom and courage and the indomitable spirit of wave country. Real inspiring stuff. The army was 200 meters away, closing fast. But you people don't deserve a speech. 100 meters. I prefer the weapon you only have to fire once. Both shoulder missile pods opened, but these weren't the 8-missile or 16-missile packages. This was something new. Something he'd built into Zuna's basement over 6 nights. 60 micro-missiles, heat-seeking, individually targeted. JRVIS had tagged every single mercenary with the drone's thermal scan. Jules? All targets locked, sir. 60 missiles, 300 targets, 5-unit spread pattern per warhead. Fire. The missiles launched. 60 streaks of light spiraled into the sky, fanned out, and descended. Naruto turned his back. He reached into his suit's chest compartment and pulled out his sunglasses, put them on. Over the helmet, behind him, the sky turned white. Boom! The detonation was so massive it rocked the bridge. The shockwave blew Sakura's hair flat. Tazuna dropped to his knees. Sasuke's Sharingan spun wildly, trying to track the impossible number of simultaneous explosions and failing. When the fire cleared, 300 mercenaries were down. Every single one. The bridge behind Naruto was cratered, burning, and empty of standing threats. He never looked back. At the far end of the destruction, Gado stood alone. His army was gone. His cane was shaking. His face was white. Naruto's thrusters fired. He covered the distance in 2 seconds. He landed in front of Gado with a metallic thud that cracked the concrete. The tiny man fell backward. Wait, I'll pay you. Whatever you want, You enslaved an entire country, Naruto said. His voice was quiet. The humor was gone. You starved their children. You murdered their hope. He reached down and grabbed Gado by the collar, lifted him off the ground with one gauntlet. And you really thought you could buy your way out of this? Please. Naruto tossed him. Like throwing a bag of garbage. Gado sailed over the railing and hit the water far below. He didn't drown. A fishing boat picked him up. Naruto had made sure of that, not out of mercy, but because he wanted Gado alive when Wave Country put him on trial. Death was too easy. Accountability lasted longer. They stayed in Wave Country for 3 more days. Naruto finished the bridge, installed electric lighting along its length, the first illuminated bridge in the elemental nations. Tazuna wept when he saw it. The people of Wave Country held a celebration. Food, music, dancing. They had nothing, but they gave everything. Naruto danced with an old woman who reminded him of someone he couldn't quite remember. A grandmother, maybe, from the other life. She had kind eyes and calloused hands, and she told him he was a good boy. He didn't correct her. They named the bridge after him, the Great Naruto Bridge. He pretended it didn't affect him. JRVIS noted his elevated heart rate and wisely said nothing. Zabuza and Haku came with them back to Konoha. Naruto bankrolled their citizenship application, which was really just him handing Hiruzen a very large check and saying, "The swordsman works for me now." Hiruzen accepted it because refusing Naruto had never worked even once in 5 years of trying. Haku enrolled in the medical corps. His ice release was perfect for precision surgery and preservation. He found purpose. Zabuza became Stark Industries' head of security. He wore a suit. He hated it. He scared the interns. It was perfect. 1 month later, the Chunin exams began, and Naruto Uzumaki was ready to put on a show. The Chunin exams were, in theory, a standardized evaluation process designed to test Genin for promotion to the Chunin rank. In practice, they were a circus, a chance for villages to flex their military power, embarrass rivals, and jockey for mission contracts from wealthy clients. Naruto understood politics. Tony Stark had played the game with senators and generals. Naruto played it with daimyos and kages. Same game, different costumes. He decided to treat the Chunin exams exactly as they deserved to be treated, as a product launch. Phase 1, the written exam. Ibiki Morino, head of Konoha's torture and interrogation division, a man whose face looked like a topographical map of bad decisions, administered the first test. A written exam. 10 questions. Impossibly hard. The real test was cheating without getting caught because the questions were designed to be unanswerable without intelligence gathering. Naruto walked in, sat down, read the first question, answered it, read the second question, answered it, finished all 9 questions in 4 minutes, set his pencil down, put his feet on the desk, closed his eyes. Every proctor in the room stared at him. Ibiki walked over, looked at Naruto's answer sheet. His scarred face went through several emotions: confusion, disbelief, grudging respect, and then annoyance. Every answer was correct, not just correct, elegant. The engineering problem in question 4 had 3 accepted solutions. Naruto had found a 4th that was more efficient than all of them. "You actually knew the answers," Ibiki said. "Did the scars damage your ability to detect obvious things? Or has that always been an issue?" Ibiki's eye twitched. He moved on. The 10th question came. Ibiki's big moment. The psychological trap. Accept the question and risk failing forever, or quit now and try again next year. The room sweated. Teams dropped out. Naruto yawned. "Is there a question, or is this a dramatic pause that went on too long?" Ibiki stared at him. "I faced worse pressure than a bald man giving me the evil eye. Ask the question, or let us go." Everyone passed. Ibiki revealed the test was about courage. Naruto already knew. He'd read Ibiki's personnel file. JRVIS had acquired it during the registration process. Know thy enemy wasn't just a quote, it was a lifestyle. Phase 2, the Forest of Death, the survival exam. 3 days in Training Ground 44, a massive enclosed forest full of giant insects, poisonous plants, aggressive wildlife, and enemy genin teams all hunting for matching scroll sets. Anko Mitarashi, the proctor for this phase, stood at the gate and gave her speech. Dangerous, deadly. Sign the waivers because people die in here. Naruto was barely listening. He was looking at Anko, purple hair, mesh bodysuit, trench coat, aggressive energy, dango obsession, a woman who'd been through hell and came out swinging. JRVS, Naruto murmured. Am I too young to flirt? Sir, you are 12, so yes. Note for the future then. Noted, sir. I'll add her to the list. There's a list? You started it when you were 9, sir. Kurenai Yuhi was the first entry. I have excellent taste. That is debatable, sir. The Forest of Death. The gates opened. Teams scattered. Naruto didn't rush in. He strolled, hands in pockets. Sasuke and Sakura flanked him. Sasuke tense and alert, Sakura with a kunai drawn. Relax, Naruto told them. JRVS has thermal scans covering a 2-kilometer radius. Nothing's getting within striking distance without us knowing. You can't technology your way out of everything, Sasuke muttered. I literally can. That's the point. They found an Earth Scroll team within the first hour. A Rain Village squad. 3 genin. Nervous. Outmatched. Naruto landed in front of them. A burst from his boot thrusters that kicked up leaves and dirt. He held out his hand. Scroll, please. What? Your Earth Scroll. I need it. You can either hand it over and walk out of here with all your bones intact, or he tapped his chest. The chakra core glowed faintly through his shirt. I can ask less politely. They handed it over. Smart kids. Team 7 had matching scrolls within 60 minutes. New record. We could just head to the tower, Sakura said. We could, Naruto agreed. But there's something I need to handle first. He'd felt it the moment they entered the forest. A chakra signature that didn't belong. Something vast and wrong and ancient, coiled inside a disguise that would fool anyone without a reactor-powered sensor suite. Orochimaru, the Snake Sannin, traitor, monster, one of the 3 legendary ninja of Konoha, gone rogue, obsessed with immortality and the collection of powerful bodies. And right now, somewhere in this forest, he was hunting for Sasuke Uchiha's Sharingan. JARVES, Naruto said quietly. Location on that anomalous signature. 800 meters northeast, sir. Moving toward our position. Speed suggests Jonin level or above. Chakra levels are, sir, I'm reading chakra levels comparable to a tailed beast. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. He turned to Sasuke and Sakura. New plan. Sakura, take the scrolls and head to the tower. Now, don't stop, don't look back. What? Why? Because something very dangerous is in this forest and I don't want it anywhere near our scrolls. And me? Sasuke asked. Naruto looked at him, really looked at him. Sasuke, what I'm about to tell you, I need you to listen. There is a man in this forest who wants your eyes, your Sharingan. He wants to take your body and use it as his own. He's stronger than Kakashi. He's stronger than the Hokage. He is, right now, the most dangerous person within 500 miles. Sasuke's face went rigid. I'm gonna handle it, but if he gets past me, and he won't, but if, you run. You run and you don't stop until you reach the tower. Understood? I don't run. Sasuke, I'm not asking. Something in Naruto's voice, the weight of it, the certainty, cut through Sasuke's pride. The Uchiha stared at his teammate, saw something in those blue eyes that he'd never seen before. He nodded. Sakura grabbed the scrolls and went. Sasuke moved to a fallback position 50 meters south. Naruto stood alone in the clearing. The forest went quiet. Even the giant insects stopped buzzing. Nature knew when a predator was coming. A figure emerged from the trees, a grass village ninja, young, female, unremarkable, but the face was wrong. The eyes were wrong. Golden, slitted, snake eyes and a borrowed face. My, the figure said in a voice like silk over broken glass. What do we have here? A little fox all alone? Naruto didn't flinch, didn't blink. You're wearing someone else's skin. That's disgusting even by my standards, and I once ate a 3-day-old burrito. The figure's tongue slid out, impossibly long. It tasted the air. You know who I am. Orochimaru, rank missing nin, former Sannin, creepy snake thing. You're here for Sasuke's body, which is, and I cannot stress this enough, super weird. Orochimaru's borrowed face cracked. Literally cracked. He shed the disguise like a snake shedding skin, revealing the pale, androgynous face of one of the most dangerous men alive. Yellow eyes burned with hunger and fascination. And you're Naruto Uzumaki, the boy genius, the one who makes machines. His smile widened. I've been watching you for months. So much potential, so much delicious innovation. Tell me, boy, would you like true power? Power beyond your little toys? Naruto tapped his wrist. Storage seals activated. The Mark 45, his newest suit, his best suit. Nanotech. It didn't assemble from plates. It grew. Microscale machines stored in a compressed seal formation erupted from his wrist and flowed across his body like liquid gold and crimson. They formed plates, filled gaps, sealed joints, all in the time it took to blink. The chakra core ignited, not the steady blue-white of the earlier suits. This time, the core blazed gold. Kurama's chakra, the Nine-Tails' infinite fury, poured through the reactor like lava through a pipeline, purified and weaponized. The faceplate materialized over Naruto's face. Golden eyes met snake eyes. You want to steal my teammate's body? Naruto's voice resonated through the suit's speakers. Sorry, Snake Face. Earth is closed today. Orochimaru's smile faltered. For the first time, it actually faltered. Then it came back wider. Striking shadow snakes! Sene Jashu! A storm of serpents erupted from Orochimaru's sleeves. Dozens of snakes, each one venomous. Each one fast enough to catch a running deer. They lunged at Naruto from every direction. Nano Shield! The nanotech suit reconfigured. Plates shifted and expanded, forming a dome of interlocking hexagonal shields around Naruto's body. The snakes hit the shield and bounced. Their fangs shattered against the alloy. Repulsor sweep! Naruto dropped the shield and fired both gauntlets in a spinning arc. The repulsor blast scythed through the remaining snakes and hit the trees behind Orochimaru. Trunks exploded. The canopy caught fire. Orochimaru moved. God, he was fast. Even for a Sannin, even compared to the fastest ninja Naruto had ever seen, Orochimaru was on another level. He slithered through the destruction like smoke through fingers, closing the distance in a heartbeat. Wind release. Great breakthrough. Futon, Daitapa. A hurricane-force gust erupted from Orochimaru's mouth. Trees bent, the ground tore. The blast hit Naruto dead center. The Mark 45 dug in. Boot thrusters fired at maximum, anchoring him. The suit's structural integrity held. Barely. The wind howled around him. JRVS. Power reading? Core output at 60%, sir. He's testing us. Then let's stop playing. Naruto raised both hands to the sky. The nanotech on his arms reconfigured. Gauntlets expanding. Channeling chambers widening. The chakra core in his chest screamed with power. Unibeam! Kurama Overdrive! The beam that fired from Naruto's chest was 100 times brighter than anything he'd ever produced. It wasn't blue-white. It was pure gold. Nine-tails chakra, purified through the reactor, focused through the unibeam lens. The air itself caught fire. The beam carved a trench in the ground 10 feet deep and 50 feet long, heading straight for Orochimaru. The Sannin's eyes went wide. He summoned a mud wall. The beam went through it. He substituted with a shadow clone. The beam destroyed the clone and kept going. He bit his thumb and slammed his hand on the ground. Summoning jutsu. Manda. Kuchiyose no jutsu. The ground cracked. The forest shook. A snake the size of a building erupted from the earth. Manda, the king of serpents, purple and gold and furious. Its body crushed trees flat. Its head rose above the canopy, tongue tasting smoke and ozone. Manda opened its mouth, fangs dripping venom. A hiss that shook leaves from every tree in a 100-meter radius. Naruto hovered in front of it, a speck of red and gold against a mountain of scales. Sir, JIS said, that is a very large snake. I noticed. I recommend. Maximum output. Everything, now. Sir, the chakra core structural integrity at maximum output is only this everything. The chakra core ignited, not at 60%, not at 100, 200. Kurama's chakra, all of it, every drop that the seal would allow, flooded the reactor. The core screamed. The suit glowed so bright it cast shadows for a quarter mile. Naruto's eyes behind the faceplate blazed like twin suns. He aimed at Manda. Both arms extended, chest open. Every thruster and repulsor array linked into a single, massive channeling system. Unibeam, maximum capacity, full QB override. The beam hit Manda dead center. It didn't push the snake. It didn't wound the snake. It cut the snake in half. The two halves of the King of Serpents fell in opposite directions, crashing into the forest like twin avalanches. Trees flattened, the ground shook. Birds scattered from the canopy in screaming clouds. Manda, the great summon, the terror of the battlefield, lay in two smoking pieces and dissolved into chakra before it could even die properly. The forest was silent. Half of it was on fire. A trench 100 meters long and 20 meters deep scarred the earth where the beam had traveled. The sky was visible through a hole in the canopy that hadn't been there 3 seconds ago. Orochimaru stood on a tree branch. Untouched, he jumped clear of Manda the moment the beam fired. But his face was something Naruto would remember. Terror genuine, raw, white-knuckled terror. The most dangerous man in the world looked at a 12-year-old boy in a suit of armor and felt fear. What? Orochimaru whispered. What are you? Naruto hovered in front of him. The suit was damaged, overheating warnings scrolling across his HUD, nanotech reserves at 40%, chakra core venting excess heat from every joint. But he was standing, flying, alive. I am Iron Man. Orochimaru ran. The snake Sannin, the man who'd fought the third Hokage, who terrorized nations, who cheated death itself, turned and fled into the forest of death like a rabbit from a hawk. He didn't leave a curse mark on Sasuke. He didn't leave anything. He just left. Naruto landed. The suit retracted into the wrist seal. He stood in the devastated clearing in his singed clothes, breathing hard, chakra core still glowing faintly through his shirt. Sasuke appeared from the fallback position. His Sharingan was still active. He'd watched the entire fight. He looked at the trench, the burning forest, the dissolving remains of a giant snake. What just happened? Naruto put on his sunglasses. Science happened. The preliminary rounds passed fast. Team 7 reached the tower in record time. The other teams trickled in over the remaining 2 days, battered, exhausted, some barely standing. Naruto was fresh. He'd used the downtime to repair his suit and upgrade J. Arvius' sensor array. The preliminaries, one-on-one fights to thin the field before the finals, were standard fare. Naruto watched from the balcony. Sasuke fought a Sound Village ninja and won with a combo he developed himself. Clever, athletic, earned. Sakura fought Ino Yamanaka and won through strategy instead of brute force. She'd been studying field tactics from books Naruto had lent her. His team was getting better. Good. When Naruto's name came up, the screen matched him against a Sound Village genin named Zaku, the kid with air tubes in his palms. He could fire compressed air blasts from his hands. Naruto walked down to the arena floor. Zaku squared up across from him, arms raised, air tubes glowing. "I'm gonna blow you away," Zaku shouted. Naruto looked at him, tilted his head. "You shoot air from your hands." He raised one palm. The repulsor gauntlet materialized. "I shoot superheated plasma from mine." He lowered the gauntlet. "Do you want to rethink this?" Zaku fired anyway. Decapitating airwaves, Zankuha! A concentrated blast of air pressure shot from Zaku's palms. Fast, powerful enough to shatter stone. Naruto didn't dodge, didn't move. A micro shield of nanotech formed in front of his extended hand. The air blast hit it and deflected upward, blowing a chunk out of the ceiling. "My turn! Repulsor blast!" One shot, low power. Zaku flew backward into the wall and stayed there, unconscious, embedded in the stone. The arena was silent. Then Kiba Inuzuka from the stands whispered, "Holy crap!" Hayate, the sickly proctor, coughed. "Wu winner, Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto walked back to the balcony. He didn't celebrate. He didn't gloat. It wasn't a fight. It was an inconvenience. From across the arena, Gaara of the desert watched him with pale, unblinking eyes. The sand in Gaara's gorge shifted restlessly. The monster recognized another monster. Naruto noticed. He met Gaara's gaze, held it. Neither looked away. Something passed between them. Recognition. Understanding. Two Jinchuriki. Two weapons. Two boys who'd been hated since birth. Then Naruto nodded, once slightly, and looked away. That conversation, too, would come later. 1 month. That's how long they had before the Chunin exam finals. 1 month to train, prepare, and get ready for the biggest stage in the ninja world. The finals were public. Daimyos attended, Kages attended. The entire Elemental Nations was watching. It was the biggest event of the year. Naruto treated it like a product launch, because it was. He spent the month building, not just suits, infrastructure. He installed a large-scale holographic projection system in the stadium, powered by seal arrays and chakra generators, because if people were going to watch him fight, they were going to see it properly. He upgraded JARVS to broadcast commentary and provide real-time tactical data on a stadium-wide display. He called it the Stark Expo. Hiruzen tried to stop him. "Naruto, this is a military examination, not a trade show." "It's both, old man. When's the last time Konoha got good press? The village economy is stagnant, tourism is down, and your ninja are talented but completely unknown outside the 5 great nations. I'm going to change that, one spectacular ass-kicking at a time." Hiruzen couldn't argue with the economics. He never could. The day of the finals, the stadium was packed, tens of thousands of spectators, daimyos in the VIP boxes, the third Hokage and the Kazekage, who was actually Orochimaru in disguise, but nobody knew that yet, in the Kage box. The arena floor gleamed. Above it, the holographic display shimmered, a massive translucent screen showing matchup brackets, fighter profiles, and the Stark Industries logo. Because, of course, the crowd murmured. This wasn't normal. This was new, different, exciting, and then the matches began. Naruto's fight was the one everyone was waiting for. The matchup board displayed it in glowing letters, Naruto Uzumaki versus Neji Hyuga. The crowd erupted. Neji Hyuga walked onto the arena floor with the quiet dignity of a man who believed absolutely in the inevitability of fate. He was a genius, the top graduate of the previous year, a prodigy of the Hyuga clan's branch house, and a master of the gentle fist style that could shut down a person's chakra system with targeted strikes. He was also carrying about 15 years of unresolved trauma from his father's death, which he channeled into a rigid fatalism that made him insufferable at parties. He stopped in the center of the arena, Byakugan active, white eyes bulging with veins. His stance was perfect, traditional, ancient. The crowd whispered his name, genius, prodigy, destined for greatness. Then Naruto showed up. He walked out of the contestant tunnel wearing a full three-piece suit, black with a gold Uzumaki spiral on the lapel, sunglasses, earpiece, the floating JRVS drone hovering at his shoulder. In his right hand, he carried a smoothie. He sipped it, looked around at the crowd, waved. "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen." His voice boomed through the holographic display system speakers because, of course, he'd set up surround sound. "Welcome to the Stark Expo. Today's demonstration, how to dismantle a family legacy in under 2 minutes." The crowd didn't know whether to laugh or gasp. They did both. Neiji's Byakugan zeroed in on Naruto. He studied the chakra network, frowned. The boy's pathways were wrong. There was a massive energy source in his chest, artificial, engineered, blazing with more chakra than most Jonin possessed, that interfered with normal chakra flow analysis. "You mock this exam," Neji said coldly. "You mock tradition. You mock everything the shinobi system stands for." Naruto finished his smoothie, set the cup down on the arena floor. "I really do. Fate has determined the outcome of this match. You are a dropout, a failure, a child playing with toys. My eyes see everything, Uzumaki. You cannot hide your weaknesses from the Byakugan." Naruto took off his sunglasses, folded them, tucked them into his breast pocket. He looked at Neji with eyes that were suddenly very, very serious. "You're a lab rat, Neji, a product of a broken ancient family tree. Your clan sealed your father with a cursed mark and let him die for politics. Your family treats you like livestock. And instead of fighting against that system, you internalized it. You made destiny your whole personality because accepting that the system is rigged would mean accepting that your father died for nothing." The stadium went dead silent. Neiji's face went white, then red, his fists clenched. "You know nothing. I know everything. I also know you're about to try the 64 palms because it's your signature technique and your pride won't let you start with anything less." Neiji's stance shifted. Naruto had read him perfectly, and that made the fury worse. "I built myself, Neji. From nothing, from scraps, no clan, no bloodline, no destiny. Everything I have, I made with my own 2 hands, and that's why you're going to lose." Neji charged. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Hakurokuji on show. The gentle fist technique was beautiful, deadly. 2 strikes, 4, 8, 16, 32. Neiji's fingers blurred, hitting chakra points with accuracy. Against a normal opponent, it would be over. The chakra system would shut down. The body would collapse. Neiji's fingers hit the Mark V armor. Clank. He'd activated the suit so fast that Neiji's Byakugan barely registered it. The briefcase, left at the arena's edge before the fight, had deployed remotely. Armor plates flew across the arena and locked onto Naruto's body in mid-attack, the gauntlets catching Neiji's strikes on gold titanium alloy. Neiji's fingers shattered. You cannot perform the gentle fist against reinforced metal. The technique required precise chakra injection through physical contact with flesh. Metal doesn't have tenketsu. Metal doesn't care about your ancient martial art, Neji screamed, stumbled back. 3 fingers on each hand bent at angles that fingers should never bend at. "I told you," Naruto said. He grabbed Neiji's wrist, gently, relatively. The Hyuga tried to pull away, couldn't. The suit's grip strength exceeded anything a human could produce. Thrusters fired. They shot into the sky, straight up, 500 feet in 3 seconds. The stadium crowd gasped as 2 figures rocketed into the clouds. At 500 feet, the wind was cold and loud, and Neji Hyuga was screaming. From pain, from shock, from the fact that he was half a kilometer above the ground, held by one wrist by a lunatic in a flying suit. Naruto held him out at arm's length. The faceplate was open. He wasn't smiling. "There's no destiny, Neji. There's just what you build and what you don't. Your father chose to die so you could live. Honor that. Don't waste it on bitterness." Then he let go. Neji fell. The stadium erupted into screaming. 500 feet. Terminal velocity. A Hyuga prodigy, plummeting toward the earth with broken hands and no way to save himself, Naruto dove after him. 300 feet. 200. 100. 50. At 10 feet, 10 feet from the ground, 10 feet from death, Naruto fired a single repulsor blast at the ground directly below Neji. The blast hit the earth and created an updraft, a cushion of compressed air that caught Neji's fall and slowed him just enough. Neji hit the ground, hard, outside the arena bounds. He bounced once, rolled, and lay still, conscious, alive, bruised to hell, but alive. Naruto landed beside him, the suit retracted. Winner Uzumaki Naruto. Jinma, the finals proctor, announced. His senbon nearly fell out of his mouth. The stadium was frozen, then it exploded. Cheering, screaming. 30,000 people who had just witnessed the most insane thing they'd ever seen in a Chunin exam. In the Kage box, Hiruzen puffed his pipe and said nothing. His hands were shaking again. Beside him, the Kazekage, Orochimaru behind a veil, gripped the armrest of his chair hard enough to crack it. He'd seen what that suit could do in the forest of death. He'd felt it. The memory of that golden beam made something cold crawl up his spine. The invasion plan was still active. It had to be. But the variable in the equation, the boy in the suit, was bigger than he'd calculated, much bigger. The other matches happened. Sasuke fought Gaara. It was brutal and close, and Sasuke's new technique, a lightning release called Chidori, taught by Kakashi, managed to pierce Gaara's sand defense and draw blood. But before the match could finish, feathers fell from the sky. Genjutsu. Mass scale. The invasion began. Sound and sand. Orochimaru's plan. The Kazekage was dead. Had been dead for weeks, replaced by Orochimaru in disguise. Sand Village forces and Sound Village forces poured into Konoha from every direction. Giant snakes broke through the walls. Explosions ripped through the streets. The stadium descended into chaos. Civilians screamed. Ninjas clashed in the stands. The purple barrier jutsu, Orochimaru's four violet flames formation, erupted on the Kage box's roof, trapping the third Hokage inside with the snake Sannin. Naruto watched the chaos from the arena floor. JIS status. Invasion in progress, sir. Hostile forces numbering approximately 3,000. 3 giant snake summons breaching the eastern, western, and southern walls. Enemy combatants in the stadium. The Hokage is engaged with Orochimaru inside a barrier. Gaara of the desert is transforming, partial tail beast release, heading toward the civilian district. Priorities? Civilian defense is critical. The snake summons are causing the most structural damage. The Hokage's battle is isolated but potentially fatal. Naruto closed his eyes. 3 problems. 1 person, Tony Stark had faced this before. New York. Aliens. A portal in the sky. Too many threats. Too few heroes. Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk, Naruto muttered. He activated the Mark 45 nanotech. It flowed over his body in a wave of gold and red. The chakra core blazed to life. Deploy the auxiliary drone squadron. From a storage scroll sealed beneath the stadium, Naruto had planted it weeks ago because paranoia was just good planning. 30 autonomous combat drones launched into the sky. Small, fast, each one carrying a miniature repulsor array. Not enough to fight a Jonin, but plenty for crowd control and mercenary disposal. Drones to the walls. Engage the snake summons. Use concentrated fire on the heads. Reptilian nervous system is centralized. Deploying, sir. The drones screamed out of the stadium in formation. Seconds later, the sound of repulsor fire echoed across the city. Sakura, Sasuke. Both teammates appeared beside him. Sakura had already broken the genjutsu on 3 civilians. Sasuke's Sharingan spun, tracking enemy movement. Sakura, coordinate with Shikamaru's team. Evacuate civilians to the Hokage Monument shelters. Sasuke, intercept Gaara. He's heading toward the residential district. You can't beat him. Don't try. Slow him down. Keep him away from civilians until I get there. And you? Sasuke asked. Naruto looked up. The purple barrier on the Kage box roof. Inside it, Hiruzen Sarutobi was fighting for his life against Orochimaru. I'm going to crash a party. He fired his thrusters and rocketed toward the barrier. The 4 violet flames formation was supposed to be impenetrable. Anything that touched it burned. No ninja could break through without destroying the 4 anchors maintaining the barrier. The Sound 4, Orochimaru's elite guard, stationed at the 4 corners. Naruto didn't bother with the anchors. JIS, analyze the barrier. Find the frequency. Sir, the barrier is maintained by a resonant chakra frequency of. Can we disrupt it? In theory, a counter-frequency pulse at sufficient amplitude could. Do it, the chakra core recalibrated. JRVS adjusted the suit's output to emit a specific waveform, a counter-frequency that matched the barrier's resonance and inverted it. Naruto pressed both palms against the purple wall. The sound was incredible. A high-pitched whine that made every tooth in every head within 50 meters ache. The barrier flickered, distorted, cracked, shattered. Naruto burst through the barrier like a bullet through glass. He landed on the Kage box between Hiruzen and Orochimaru in a shower of purple sparks. The Sound 4 gaped. Their barrier, Their unbreakable barrier had just been broken by a 12-year-old. Orochimaru turned. His face was mid-technique. He'd been about to summon the reanimation jutsu, the Edo Tensei, to bring back the first and second Hokage. His hands were in the final seal. Naruto's faceplate locked onto those hands. Repulsor blast! Both gauntlets fired simultaneously. The blast hit Orochimaru's hands and vaporized the snake that was acting as the jutsu's medium. The summoning failed. The coffins that had begun to rise from the ground cracked, crumbled, and collapsed into dust. No reanimation, no undead Hokage. Orochimaru's greatest weapon, gone in a flash of light. The snake Sanin stared at his burnt hands, then at Naruto. That same terror from the Forest of Death was back, mixed now with rage. You, me, Naruto confirmed. Miss me? Naruto. Hiruzen's voice was rough. He was injured, cuts, bruises, his armor cracked. He'd been fighting hard. You shouldn't be here. With respect, old man. Yes, I should. Naruto turned to Orochimaru. The snake Sanin was already regenerating, already forming new seals. Because Orochimaru was a cockroach in human skin, and killing him took more than blowing up his hands. But Naruto didn't need to kill him. He just needed to stall him long enough for the tide to turn outside. JR-VS, status on the drones? Eastern Snake Summon neutralized. Western Snake Summon at 60% combat effectiveness. Southern Summon retreating. Civilian evacuation at 73%. And Sasuke? Engaging Gaara, holding position. Gaara is at partial tail beast transformation. Sasuke is outmatched. Time? 3 minutes until Gaara reaches full transformation. 3 minutes. Naruto looked at Orochimaru, looked at the old man behind him, bleeding and tired but still standing, still fighting, because that's what Hiruzen Sarutobi did. Old man, can you hold him for 3 minutes? Hiruzen straightened. His staff appeared in his hands. Enma, the Monkey King, transformed into an adamantine weapon. Despite his wounds, despite his age, the god of shinobi's eyes burned. I can hold him forever if I must. Naruto nodded. He fired his thrusters and blasted off the rooftop, heading toward the residential district. Behind him, Hiruzen Sarutobi smiled, tired, proud. He turned to face his former student. Shall we continue? Orochimaru's invasion was already falling apart. His snake summons were being shot out of the sky by flying drones. His barrier was broken. His reanimation was stopped. His army was being systematically dismantled by a combination of Konoha's ninja forces and 30 autonomous combat machines, and the boy in the suit was coming for his last trump card. Orochimaru made a decision, the same decision he'd made in the Forest of Death. He ran. The Sound 4 covered his retreat. Orochimaru fled Konoha like a thief in the night, his invasion crumbling around him. Hiruzen Sarutobi lived. No Reaper Death Seal, no sacrifice. The third Hokage stood battered but alive on the rooftop of the Kage box and watched the dawn break over his village. He lived because a boy in a flying suit had broken through an unbreakable barrier and blown up a snake. He lived because Naruto Uzumaki refused to let the people he loved die. Gaara, the one-tailed Jinchuriki, was mid-transformation when Naruto arrived. Sand covered half his body, monstrous, massive, the beginnings of Shukaku's true form erupting from a human shell. One arm was a giant claw. One eye was golden and diamond-shaped. Sasuke was on the ground, conscious but spent. Chidori had drained him. His Sharingan was deactivated, out of chakra. He'd done his job. He'd held Gaara for 3 minutes. He'd nearly died doing it. Naruto landed between Sasuke and Gaara. Hey, Sandy, over here. Gaara turned. The half-formed Shukaku face grinned with a madness that wasn't entirely Gaara's. Blood! Mother wants your blood. Your mother is a tailed beast sealed in a pot. She doesn't want anything except to not be in a pot. I can relate. The Shukaku arm swung. A sandclaw the size of a truck. Naruto caught it. The Mark 45 strength powered by Kurama's chakra matched the one-tail's force. The ground beneath Naruto's feet cracked. His boots dug trenches in the earth. But he held. Gaara, listen to me. Kill you. I'll kill everyone. No, you won't, because I know what you are. I know what it's like to be the monster everyone fears. I know what it's like to have something inside you that the whole world hates. The Sandclaw pressed harder. Naruto's suit groaned. But you're not Shukaku, you're Gaara, and Gaara is a kid who never got loved, and that sucks, and I'm sorry. But killing everyone isn't going to fill that hole. Trust me, I've thought about it. Something in Gaara's remaining human eyes shifted, a crack in the madness. What do you know about my pain? Everything. Naruto shoved the sandclaw away. He raised one gauntlet and then deactivated it. The nanotech retracted from his right hand, leaving bare skin, human skin. He reached out, open palm, unprotected. You want to hurt me? Go ahead. But I'm not going to fight you. Gaara, you've been fighting your whole life and it hasn't fixed anything. The sand swirled. Shukaku screamed inside Gaara's mind. But the boy, the small, lonely, terrified boy underneath the monster, stared at the open hand. Nobody had ever offered him a hand. Nobody had ever lowered their weapon. The sand receded, slowly, painfully. Shukaku raged, but Gaara pulled him back, inch by inch, choosing for the first time in his life to not destroy. Gaara collapsed, small, pale, shaking. Just a kid. Naruto caught him before he hit the ground. I've got you. Gaara looked up at him with wet, exhausted eyes. Why? Naruto thought about it. About Tony Stark, who'd carried a nuke through a portal and thought about the woman he loved. About a cave in Afghanistan. About a warehouse in Konoha. About the chess piece that kept him alive and the loneliness that tried to kill him every night. Because someone should have done this for us a long time ago. He carried Gaara to the medical station, laid him down gently. The Sand Village medics, who'd just been trying to kill Konoha's people 20 minutes ago, watched in stunned silence as the Iron Shinobi treated their Jinchuriki with more kindness than their own village ever had. Tamari, Gaara's sister, stood nearby. Her battle fan was clenched in white-knuckled hands. Tears streamed down her face. Thank you, she whispered. Naruto nodded. Put his sunglasses back on. Don't mention it. The aftermath of the invasion was brutal. Buildings destroyed, lives lost. Konoha's military strength reduced by 30%. But the Hokage was alive. The village stood, and the reconstruction began immediately, faster than anyone expected, because Naruto Uzumaki threw every resource of Stark Industries behind it. Construction drones, prefabricated building materials, electrical infrastructure for the rebuilt districts, running water, heating systems, street lighting. Naruto worked 18-hour days for 2 weeks. He rebuilt the hospital. He rebuilt the academy. He rebuilt the market district with improved fire safety systems. And he did it without asking for anything in return. Sir, JARVS said on the 14th night, as Naruto welded a support beam in the new pediatric ward, your cortisol levels are critically elevated. You haven't slept in 36 hours. I must insist. In a minute. You said that 11 minutes ago, sir. Then I'll say it again in 11 more. He finished the ward at dawn. Children moved in that afternoon. Hiruzen found him asleep on a bench outside the hospital, still in his work clothes, sunglasses askew. The old man draped a blanket over him and sat down beside him. You saved my life, Naruto. The boy didn't stir. You saved this village. You saved that sand boy. And now you're rebuilding everything. Hiruzen puffed his pipe. His eyes were wet. I wish your parents could see you. They would be so proud. Naruto's hand in his sleep touched the chakra core in his chest. It pulsed softly, blue-white, steady, a heartbeat. He dreamed of a man in a cave, a man who built his way out of darkness, a man who at the end snapped his fingers and saved the world and whispered to his daughter, I love you 3,000. 2 months passed. Konoha rebuilt. Alliances shifted. The Sand Village, horrified by Orochimaru's manipulation, sued for peace and offered a formal alliance. Gaara was the bridge. Literally, the boy who'd been pulled back from the edge by Naruto Uzumaki became the loudest voice for reconciliation in Suna. Jiraiya of the Sannin came to Konoha. The Toad Sage. White hair, red lines on his face, a personality that was 50% wisdom and 50% perversion. He came because Hiruzen asked him to train Naruto for what was coming. War, Akatsuki, the threats that were gathering on the horizon. Jiraiya met Naruto in his workshop. He walked in expecting a kid. He walked out 3 hours later understanding that this was the most dangerous human being on the planet. The kid doesn't need training, Jiraiya told Hiruzen over sake that evening. He needs a leash, which he won't wear. He's smarter than me, smarter than you, smarter than Sensei. He's already reinvented half the economy of Fire Country. His technology surpasses anything I've ever seen, and I've traveled the entire world. Then what do you suggest? Jiraiya drank. Thought. Point him at the Akatsuki and get out of the way. But first, there was Sasuke. The Sound Four came to Konoha. 4 of Orochimaru's elite. Sakon, Kidomaru, Tayuya Jirobo, with an offer for Sasuke Uchiha. Power, strength, the ability to kill his brother Itachi, who'd murdered the entire Uchiha clan years ago. All Sasuke had to do was leave. Naruto knew the moment Sasuke's chakra signature moved toward the village gates at midnight. JRVIS had standing surveillance on all Team 7 members, not out of distrust, but because Naruto had seen the look in Sasuke's eyes. The hunger, the emptiness. The same look Tony Stark had seen in the mirror before Afghanistan. The need to destroy yourself in pursuit of something that might not even be there. Sir, Sasuke Uchiha has exited the village. He's accompanied by 4 unknown hostiles. They're heading north at high speed. Naruto was already moving. He'd been awake. He'd been awake for 3 nights, building. Not the Mark 45, something bigger. He walked to the center of his underground workshop. Before him stood a suit of armor that made every previous mark look like a child's toy. 12 feet tall, massive, layered with reinforced gold titanium plating over a nanotech undersuit. Oversized repulsor arrays in both gauntlets, each one capable of leveling a building. A chakra core 3 times the standard size, glowing crimson, fed by a direct, unfiltered Kurama connection. Shoulder-mounted unibeam projectors, back-mounted thruster array, forearm-mounted missile pods, the anti-Uchiha Buster. He'd built it specifically for this moment, because he knew, he'd always known, Sasuke would leave. It was just a matter of when. Naruto climbed inside, the suit sealed around him. The HUD flickered to life, a wall of data, combat systems, targeting arrays. The core hummed, deep and powerful. JRVS, are we ready? Sir, the anti-Uchiha Buster is a theoretical prototype that has never been tested in combat. The power systems are untested at full capacity. The structural integrity under maximum load is uncertain. I have 17 critical safety concerns. Are we ready? Yes, sir. Then let's go bring him home. The workshop ceiling opened. The Buster's thrusters fired, a roar like a jet engine that shook every building in a 3-block radius. Naruto rocketed into the sky and streaked north, a crimson comet against the dark, the Valley of the End. 2 statues, Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju, the founders, locked in eternal combat on either side of a massive waterfall. The place where legendary battles ended. The place where this one would too. Naruto caught up fast. The Sound Four were already dealt with. Konoha's retrieval team, Shikamaru, Choji, Neji, Kiba, and Lee, had intercepted them along the route, each team member peeling off to fight one escort. Messy battles, hard fights. The retrieval team would win, but barely, and with scars that would last. Sasuke had made it to the valley alone. He stood on Madara's head, silhouetted against the moonlight, curse mark pulsing on his neck. The Buster landed on Hashirama's head. The impact cracked the stone. Sasuke turned. His Sharingan blazed. 3 Tomoe, fully matured. His face was tight, angry, conflicted. He stared at the massive suit of armor, his jaw clenched. What the hell is that? Insurance. Naruto's voice boomed through the Buster's speakers, deeper and more resonant than his normal voice. Come home, Sasuke. I can't. Yeah, you can. Turn around, walk back, eat some ramen, forget the snake. You don't understand. You could never understand. Itachi killed my entire family, my mother, my father, everyone, and Orochimaru can give me the power to. Orochimaru is going to eat you alive. Literally. He wants to wear your body like a suit. That's his whole thing. Then I'll be stronger than him before that happens. Listen to yourself. You sound insane. I sound determined. Same thing, coming from an Uchiha. Sasuke's curse mark flared. Black flame patterns crawled across his skin. His Sharingan shifted, deeper, darker. You hide behind a suit, Naruto. You've always hidden behind a suit. You don't understand real power. Power that comes from inside. Power that comes from sacrifice and hate and everything special about you came out of a snake's test tube. The words hit like a physical blow. Sasuke flinched. Your Sharingan, your curse mark, your techniques. Kakashi gave you Chidori. Orochimaru gave you the seal. Your genes gave you the eyes. What have you built, Sasuke? What have you actually created? Because I started with nothing, less than nothing, and I made myself into this. The Buster's chest core blazed crimson. Sasuke gritted his teeth so hard they creaked. Shut up! No! Shut up! Curse mark level 2 activated. The transformation was violent. Sasuke's skin turned gray. His eyes went black with gold irises, and massive hand-shaped wings erupted from his back. His chakra spiked to monstrous levels. Dark, tainted, wrong. He raised his left hand. Lightning crackled. Not the bright blue of a normal Chidori, black, dark lightning, fueled by hatred and curse energy. Black Chidori! Kuroi Chidori! The technique screamed in his palm. Raw, murderous, it warped the air around it. Naruto stared through the Buster's faceplate. His expression shifted. The humor drained. The bravado faded. What was left was something older and sadder. He'd been here before. Different life, different friend, same feeling. You couldn't save everyone. He knew that. Tony Stark had known that. But you had to try. JRVIS. Sir? Put everything into the right arm. Sir, structural integrity is at 40%. If you channel maximum output through the right arm, there's a 68% chance of complete system failure. Noted. Do it anyway. Rerouting all power. Auxiliary systems offline, life support, minimal. Thrusters offline, shields offline. Weapon systems offline. All available energy diverted to right arm repulsor array. The Buster's lights dimmed. Every system went dark except one, the right arm. The gauntlet blazed. The chakra core screamed, pouring everything it had. Kurama's chakra, Naruto's own reserves, the suit's reactor output, everything into a single point. The gauntlet glowed so bright it turned the valley to daylight. The waterfall behind them turned to steam from the ambient heat. Sasuke screamed. A battle cry. A death cry. A plea that he'd never admit was a plea. He charged. Naruto charged. 12 feet of mechanized armor thundering forward, one arm blazing like a star against a cursed angel of dark lightning. Two boys who should have been friends, two boys who were breaking each other's hearts. Repulsor blast! Maximum output! Full Kurama override! Black Chidori! They collided. The Black Chidori hit the repulsor blast and lasted exactly 1/4 of a second. Then the repulsor swallowed it, consumed it. The dark lightning shattered like glass against the sun. The blast continued. It hit Sasuke in the chest and carried him backward. Not gently, not kindly, but irresistibly. The curse mark wings shattered. The gray skin cracked and faded. The dark eyes cleared. Sasuke flew backward through the waterfall. The waterfall ceased to exist. The repulsor blast parted it, evaporated it, erased it from the landscape. Where a river had fallen for centuries, there was now only steam and silence. The shockwave expanded outward. Trees flattened in a perfect circle for half a mile. The statues of Madara and Hashirama, those ancient stone giants, cracked from base to crown. The valley of the end trembled. Then it was over. Sasuke lay in a crater on the far side of where the waterfall had been. Unconscious. Human again. The curse mark on his neck was dark and inactive. His clothes were destroyed. His body was bruised and burned, but he was breathing. Naruto stood in his buster. The suit was destroyed, and he meant destroyed. The right arm had blown out completely, torn apart by the energy output, sparking and steaming. The chest plate was cracked. Half the armor plates had fallen off. The left leg had locked up. Steam vented from cracks in every joint. The faceplate opened with a grinding screech of damaged metal. Naruto's face was pale, exhausted. Blood ran from his nose. His eyes were dim, but they were kind. He climbed out of the wreckage of the buster. Each step hurt. His body was running on fumes and stubbornness. He walked across the shattered valley floor, stepping over broken rock and cooling stone. He reached the crater. He looked down at Sasuke, his teammate, his rival, his friend, whether either of them would say it out loud. He picked him up. Sasuke was light, lighter than he should have been. A boy made of anger and grief and wasted potential, and he weighed almost nothing. I am Iron Man. He said it quietly. Not to the world, not to an audience. Just to the unconscious boy in his arms in the empty valley and the stars overhead. He carried Sasuke home. The walk back to Konoha took all night. Naruto carried Sasuke the entire way. No suit, no thrusters, no technology. Just a boy carrying another boy down a dirt road, one step at a time, while the sun came up. He passed the retrieval team on the way. Shikamaru was alive, arm in a sling. Choji was unconscious but stable. Neji had a bandage wrapped around his torso, a wound that would have killed him if not for field medicine. Naruto had taught the Konoha medics. Kiba and Akamaru were battered but walking. Lee was Lee, bandaged, broken, and somehow smiling. They all stopped. They all stared. Naruto walked past them, Sasuke in his arms, eyes forward. Is he? Shikamaru started. He's alive. He's coming home. Nobody argued. The gates of Konoha appeared at sunrise. The morning guard, Kotetsu and Izumo, saw them coming from a mile away. They sent a runner to the Hokage. They sent a medic team to the gate, but by the time the medics arrived, half the village was already there. Word traveled fast. The demon brat, the genius, the iron shinobi, had brought back the Uchiha, had fought him at the Valley of the End and won. They'd felt the shockwave. From 10 miles away, they'd felt it. The ground had shaken. The sky had flashed white. And now the boy walked through the gates carrying his fallen teammate, and the village of Konoha watched, and for the first time in 12 years, every single person, civilian and ninja, adult and child, those who hated him and those who worshipped him, saw the same thing. A hero. Sakura was the first to reach them. She was running. She was crying. She'd been crying all night since she'd found out about the mission, since she'd sat helplessly in the village waiting for news. Sasuke! He's okay, Naruto said. He's just sleeping. He handed Sasuke to the medical team. They loaded him onto a stretcher and rushed toward the hospital. Sakura ran after them. Naruto stood at the gate, alone. The crowd surrounded him at a distance watching, whispering. Kakashi appeared beside him. The Jonin looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. You did what I couldn't, Kakashi said quietly. You taught me what it meant to have a team. That's more important than any fight. Kakashi's eye curved into a smile, but it was a sad one. Your suit? Trashed. I'll build a new one. Better one. Always a better one. And Sasuke, when he wakes up? Naruto took off his sunglasses. His eyes were tired, deep blue, bloodshot, carrying a weight that no 12-year-old should carry, but that this 12-year-old had been carrying since the day he was born. When he wakes up, I'll be there. Same as always. He looked at the Hokage monument. 4 faces in stone, watching over the village. Someday, maybe, there'd be a 5th. Naruto put his sunglasses back on. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a workshop to get back to. That valley isn't going to rebuild itself. Although, he paused, tapped his chin. Actually, I could probably build a drone that would rebuild it automatically. JR via S. Make a note. Noted, sir. Shall I add it to the list after redesign the buster, upgrade the municipal power grid, and invent refrigeration? Put it before refrigeration. The fridge can wait. Very good, sir. Naruto walked through the village, past the market he'd rebuilt, past the hospital he'd powered, past the academy he'd funded, past the children who pointed and whispered and called him Iron Man when they thought he couldn't hear. He could always hear. He walked into his workshop. The door closed behind him. He stood in the quiet, surrounded by tools and blueprints and the soft hum of machines, and for one moment, just one, the armor dropped. Not the metal armor, the other one, the smile, the bravado, the wit. He was 12 years old. He was tired. He carried a dead man's memories and a demon's power and an entire village on his shoulders. He'd just beaten his best friend unconscious to stop him from destroying himself. He sat down on his workbench. The chakra core in his chest pulsed slowly, warm, steady. The voice from the other life whispered in his memory. A man at the end of his road, speaking to his daughter through time. Part of the journey is the end. Naruto closed his eyes, let the tears come, just for a moment, just in the dark, just where nobody could see. Then he wiped his face, stood up, picked up a wrench. Okay, he said to the empty workshop. Mark 46. Let's go. Shall I begin the design specifications, sir? JRVS asked. Start with the chest piece. Always start with the chest piece. Very good, sir. And sir? Yeah? Welcome home. Naruto smiled. Small, real. The kind of smile that had nothing to do with arrogance and everything to do with survival. Yeah, he said. Home. He started building. Because that's what he did. That's what Tony Stark did. That's what Naruto Uzumaki did. When the world broke, when people betrayed you, when the universe itself seemed designed to make you suffer, you didn't cry. You didn't quit. You didn't sit in the dark and feel sorry for yourself. You built. You built something better. And then you built something better than that. And somewhere, in a place between worlds, between lives, between the memory of a man who saved the universe and the reality of a boy who was just getting started, a legacy continued. Iron Man was dead. Long live Iron Man. The wrench hit the bolt at exactly the right angle, and the bolt turned, and the world got one step closer to surviving whatever came next. Naruto hadn't slept, hadn't tried. Sleep was a suggestion his body made and his brain ignored, because the Mark 46 was singing to him from the workbench, like a half-finished symphony begging for its final movement. The workshop hummed with the sound of creation. The whir of the lathe, the hiss of seal-powered soldering, the quiet clicks of nanotech assembling themselves into something beautiful. The tears had dried hours ago. He didn't think about them. Tears were a maintenance cycle, pressure release. They happened, they served their purpose, and then you picked up a wrench and kept going, because the alternative was sitting still, and sitting still was death for people like him, people like Tony Stark, people like Naruto Uzumaki. Same person, different wrench. The Mark 46 lay on the central platform of the workshop, spread open like a butterfly pinned to glass. Red and gold, always red and gold, because branding mattered and because those colors felt like home in a way he couldn't articulate without sounding insane. The suit was sleeker than anything he built before. Where the Mark 45 had been powerful but raw, the 46 was refined, elegant. The nanotech deployment system had been completely rebuilt from scratch. A single wristband, matte black, barely thicker than a watch, housing compressed nanites in a seal formation so dense that the math to calculate it had taken JARVS 11 hours and given Naruto a nosebleed. The chakra core was the real upgrade. He'd spent 4 of the night's hours on it alone, rewiring the copper seal hybrid circuitry, installing new regulation gates between the 9 tails of Pearl, energy, and the output channels. The old core burned hot and fast, all or nothing, a binary switch between normal and apocalyptic. The Mark 46's core could modulate 10% output for casual flight, 30 for combat, 60 for serious threats, 100 for problems that required the kind of solution that left craters, and beyond 100 for the kind of problems that required answers the world hadn't invented words for yet. Sir, JRVS. His voice filled the workshop the way a good butler announced that dinner was served even as the house burned down around him. The Mark 46 boot sequence is ready for initialization. Shall I proceed? Hit it. The suit closed. Plates locked. Seals activated in sequence, a cascade of blue light rippling across the armor like a heartbeat finding its rhythm. The chakra core ignited, blue-white, steady, brilliant. The HUD flickered to life inside the faceplate. Targeting arrays, power readouts, structural integrity monitors, atmospheric data, a tiny icon in the corner that was JRV's face rendered in minimalist geometry. Running primary diagnostics, structural integrity, optimal. Nano deployment, optimal. Thruster calibration, optimal. Weapon systems online. Chakra core modulation gates tested and holding. Communication array, online. Genjutsu countermeasure firewall, active. Green lights across the board. Every system singing in harmony. One notation, sir. Go. The primary power output at full modulation is 47% beyond projected safe limits. Naruto cracked his knuckles inside the gauntlets. The sound echoed through the empty workshop. Noted. Increase it. Sir, increasing the output beyond 47% would put the chakra core's containment seals under. JARVIS. Increasing it, sir. The core flared brighter. The suit hummed deeper. Naruto grinned. He walked to the workshop's launch bay, a vertical shaft that opened through the roof, installed 6 months ago for exactly this kind of moment. The thrusters fired. Blue-white light flooded the shaft. Naruto rocketed upward, broke through the opening, and burst into the Konoha sky at dawn. The sun was just cresting the tree line. The village below was still half asleep. Early market vendors setting up stalls, a few ninja jogging the perimeter, the morning guard shift yawning at the gates. The air was cold and clean and tasted like dew and possibility. Naruto climbed. 500 feet, 1,000, 2,000. The village shrank below him into a map of rooftops and roads, and the dark scar of the invasion's damage still being repaired. He hung there for a moment, suspended between sky and earth, the Mark 46 holding him effortless and still. Then he dove. The sonic boom rattled windows across the eastern district. A streamer of condensed vapor trailed behind him as he dropped like a red and gold meteorite, pulling up at the last possible second to skim the rooftops at barely legal altitude. Market vendors ducked. A cart of cabbages tipped over. 3 children on their way to the academy stopped dead in their tracks and pointed at the sky, mouths open, eyes enormous. "Iron Man!" one of them screamed. "Iron Man!" Naruto barrel rolled over the Hokage Tower, banked left, and came to a perfect landing on top of the Hokage monument right between the stone heads of the second and third. He sat down, let his legs dangle over the edge. The faceplate opened. Konoha spread below him like a painting. Battered, scarred, rebuilding, alive. A small drone hummed up from behind him, one of Ichiraku's delivery units. Because, of course, Ichiraku had a drone delivery system now. Tochi had resisted the idea for exactly 4 hours before the first test delivery proved that hot ramen could reach any point in the village in under 3 minutes without spilling a drop. Business had tripled. The drone deposited a steaming bowl of miso ramen and a pair of chopsticks on the stone surface beside him. A handwritten note was taped to the lid. Naruto, heard you were up all night. Eat. Old Man Tochi. Naruto ate ramen on top of the Hokage monument in a suit of armor that could level a city block, watching the sun rise over a village that had tried to kill him and that he'd saved anyway. And he thought about the boy who'd been dragged into a warehouse 6 years ago. That boy was dead. Long dead. Replaced by something harder and sharper and infinitely more dangerous. But the ramen still tasted the same. And that was enough. He finished the bowl. Set it aside. Tapped his earpiece. JARVS, status on Konoha General Hospital, room 412. Sasuke Uchiha remains unconscious, vital signs stable, medical staff reports no change since admission. Let me know when he wakes up. Of course, sir. Naruto leaned back on the stone and stared at the sky. And JARVS? Sir? The 46 flies beautifully. I'll be sure to pass your compliments along to the engineer. That's me. I'm aware, sir, that was the joke. Naruto grinned, closed his eyes, didn't sleep but rested. For 5 minutes, in the sun, on top of a mountain, it was briefly a good morning. The call came at 11:47 a.m. Sir, Sasuke Uchiha has regained consciousness. Naruto was in the workshop, running stress tests on the Mark 46's nano-deployment wristband. He set down the calibration tool, pulled on a charcoal suit jacket over his black shirt, slipped on his sunglasses, poured a cup of coffee from the machine he'd built last year, the envy of every cafe in Fire Country, and walked to the hospital. He didn't fly. He walked. Some moments needed ground under your feet. Konoha General had been rebuilt after the invasion with Stark Industries funding and technology. The lighting was electric. The monitoring equipment was seal-based, but designed by Naruto. Heart rate, chakra levels, brain activity, all displayed on glowing screens that the medical staff had learned to read in a 2-week crash course. The hallways were clean and bright and smelled like antiseptic instead of despair, which was an improvement over the old hospital that smelled like both. Room 412 was on the 4th floor, east wing, a corner room with windows. Naruto had requested it specifically. If Sasuke was going to be angry, and Sasuke was always angry, he deserved to be angry with a view. The Anbu guard outside the door nodded when Naruto approached. Nobody questioned his access. Half the hospital bore his name on the dedication plaques. He walked in, closed the door, sat in the chair beside the bed. Sasuke was staring at the ceiling. His arms were at his sides, bandaged from wrist to shoulder. His face was bruised, a constellation of purple and yellow across his jaw and cheekbone. The hospital gown hung loose on his frame. Without the dark clothes and the scowl and the brooding posture, he looked young. He looked 12. He looked like the kid he'd never been allowed to be. The curse mark on his neck was visible above the gown's collar. Cracked, faded, like old paint peeling from a wall. The repulsor blast at the valley had done something to it. Burned through the chakra pathways that fed it, cauterized the connection between Orochimaru's seal and Sasuke's system. It wasn't gone, but it was broken. A weapon with a shattered firing pin. Naruto sipped his coffee. Waited. Silence filled the room. It lasted a long time. 5 minutes. 10. The clock on the wall ticked. Outside, a bird sang. Inside, 2 boys sat with the weight of everything they'd done to each other pressing down like gravity. Sasuke spoke first. His voice was rough, dry, the voice of someone who'd been unconscious for 2 days and had woken up to find every choice he'd made turn to ash. You stopped me. Yeah. You could have let me go. I could have. But I didn't build a retrieval system for nothing. More silence. Sasuke's jaw worked. His fists clenched under the bandages, then released. Clenched again. The curse mark. Damaged. Badly. My repulsor blast burned out most of the chakra channels that fed it. It'll never reach level 2 again. Orochimaru's investment in you is officially a bad bet. Sasuke processed that. His eyes, dark, still, Sharingan dormant, stared at the ceiling like it held the answer to a question he couldn't form. So it's over. The mark is, the rest is up to you. Sasuke turned his head. Slowly. The effort it took was visible. Not physical effort, but the other kind. The kind that comes from looking at the person who beat you, who carried you home, who sat in your hospital room drinking coffee like nothing had happened. His eyes dropped to Naruto's chest. The chakra core glowed faintly through the black shirt, blue-white, steady, pulsing with a rhythm that was almost biological. What is that thing? My heart. Literally. Don't touch it. Sasuke stared at it. The glow reflected in his dark eyes. You built it. When I was 7. In a warehouse. With scraps. And everything else. The suits. The weapons. The drones. All of it. All of it. Why? Naruto lowered his sunglasses and looked at Sasuke over the rims because the alternative was dying, and I'm allergic to dying. Sasuke said nothing. His mouth was a thin line. His eyes burned with something that wasn't quite anger, and wasn't quite grief, and wasn't quite gratitude. It was all three, mixed together into a cocktail that tasted like being 12 years old and realizing that the person you tried to destroy was the only one who came to get you. Sasuke said, I know. I hate that you're better than me. I know that too. I hate that you were right. Sasuke, I'm always right. It's statistically proven. The ghost of something crossed Sasuke's face. It might have been a smile. It died instantly, smothered by pride and pain, but it had been there. For half a second. Naruto saw it. He didn't comment. He finished his coffee, set the cup on the bedside table. The village is putting you on probation, restricted movement, supervised training. Kakashi's taking personal responsibility for you, which means you'll be reading a lot of Icha and learning to cope with chronic lateness. I figured. I argued for leniency. Tsunade. He paused. Well, we'll get to Tsunade. Point is, you're not in a cell. You're in a hospital. You'll be out in a week, and when you are, Team 7 will be waiting. Sasuke looked at him. Something raw and young flickered behind his eyes. You still want me on the team? After you went berserk, tried to defect to a snake-themed pedophile, and made me destroy my best suit dragging your unconscious body home? Naruto stood, straightened his jacket, put his sunglasses back on. Sasuke, I don't give up on investments, even the ones that actively try to depreciate themselves. He walked to the door, stopped, didn't turn around. Besides, you're my friend, whether you like it or not. He left. Sasuke stared at the closed door for a long time. Then he turned his head back to the ceiling. One tear. Just one. It rolled down his bruised cheek and soaked into the pillow, and nobody saw it, and nobody ever would. But it was there. 3 days later, Hiruzen Sarutobi died. Not in battle, not in some grand final sacrifice. The old man's body simply gave out. The injuries from the invasion, compounded by decades of pipe smoke and 3 wars worth of accumulated damage, caught up with him on an afternoon. He was sitting in his office, reading a mission report, pipe in hand. He set the pipe down, closed his eyes, and the god of shinobi went to sleep for the last time. Naruto got the call from JRS at 3:14 p.m. Sir, I'm sorry. 2 words. That was all JR said. The AI had a sensor in the Hokage's office, a medical monitoring device Naruto had installed last year over Hiruzen's protests because the old man's health had been declining, and Naruto had known, the way you always know when a clock is winding down. Naruto sat in his workshop. He didn't move. He didn't speak. The wrench in his hand didn't fall. He held it, steady, because his hands were the one thing that never shook. 5 minutes passed. The core in his chest pulsed. Steady. Warm. Then he set the wrench down, stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the village, at the Hokage Tower, at the monument, at the 4 stone faces that were now officially the full count. Part of the journey is the end, he said quietly. He went to the funeral. He wore black, no sunglasses. He stood in the rain with everyone else and said nothing and felt everything. When it was over, he walked to the workshop and locked the door and built for 36 hours straight. Grief looked different for people who had wrenches. Konoha needed a Hokage. The village couldn't function without one. The administrative machinery, the mission assignment system, the diplomatic channels, all of it required a central authority. The elders convened. Names were discussed. Jiraiya's name came up. Jiraiya said no. He said it loudly, repeatedly, and with several profanity-laden explanations about why putting him in charge of anything was a categorically terrible idea. He said one name, Tsunade, the granddaughter of the first Hokage, one of the 3 legendary Sannin, the greatest medical ninja who had ever lived. Also, currently, a gambling-addicted drunk who'd been running from her past for 20 years and couldn't stay in one village for more than a month. She's the only one who can do it, Jiraiya said at the emergency council meeting. She's got the skill, the bloodline, and the authority. She just needs convincing. And who, the elder Koharu asked dryly, is going to convince the woman who punched the last person who mentioned the word Hokage through a casino wall? Naruto raised his hand. Every head in the room turned. He was leaning against the back wall of the council chamber, arms crossed, wearing a fitted black suit with a burnt orange tie. The chakra core glowed through his shirt. His sunglasses caught the lamplight. He looked like a CEO who'd wandered into a board meeting he already owned. "I'll find her. I'll bring her back." "You're 13, Homura said. "And?" Jiraiya rubbed his face. "Kid, Tsunade's not some missing nin you can blast with a repulsor. She's a Sannin. She hit a man through a wall for suggesting she take a desk job." "I know. I read her file." Naruto pushed off the wall and walked to the Hokage's desk. Hiruzen's desk, empty now, the pipe still sitting where the old man had left it. He set the red and gold briefcase of the Mark 46 on the surface. "I'll find her. I'll bring her back. I'll also need a travel expense budget because Anko wants to come and she eats a lot." Jiraiya blinked. "Anko Mitarashi? Why is she?" "She heard the word road trip and invited herself. I have learned that telling Anko no is both impossible and inadvisable." Homura and Koharu exchanged glances. Jiraiya sighed. It was the sigh of a man who had been alive for 50 years and had just accepted that a 13-year-old was running the show. "Fine, I'm coming too. Someone has to keep you out of trouble. Jiraiya-sama, with respect, you are the trouble." "Fair." They left the next morning. Naruto, Jiraiya, and Anko Mitarashi, the purple-haired, dango-obsessed, gloriously unhinged special jonin, who had invited herself onto the mission and brought 3 bags of snacks and a weapon scroll the size of a small child. Naruto had requisitioned the steam-powered carriage. It purred down the road away from Konoha's gates, Naruto behind the wheel. Yes, behind the wheel, he'd added a steering mechanism. With Jiraiya in the passenger seat and Anko sprawled across the back, feet up, eating dango skewers by the fistful. "This thing runs on steam?" Jiraiya asked, eyeing the dashboard controls with the fascination of a man who traveled the world and still hadn't seen anything like this. "Steam in a micro-reactor. Range of about 400 miles between refueling. Top speed of 65, though I've pushed it to 80 on straightaways." "You're 13 and you drive." "I'm 13 and I do everything. Driving is on the low end of the list." Anko leaned forward between the seats. Her breath smelled like sweet bean paste. Her eyes were bright and dangerous. "Hey, genius boy, you got anything in this thing that plays music?" Naruto tapped a seal on the dashboard. A speaker system, built into the carriage's frame, powered by a dedicated audio seal array, hummed to life. Sound filled the cabin. Instrumental, up-tempo, brassy. Naruto had transcribed it from memory, from The Other Life, from Tony Stark's playlist. He didn't have the lyrics, they hadn't followed him across dimensions, but the melody was there, note for note. "What is that?" Jiraiya asked. "The future." They drove. Finding Tsunade took 4 days. JRVS's intelligence network, a web of information gathering contacts, civilian asset purchases, and a handful of chakra-sensing relay points. Naruto had installed along major trade routes during his business trips, narrowed her location to Tanzaku Town, a gambling hub roughly 200 miles northwest of Konoha. The 4 days of travel were, unexpectedly, the best 4 days Naruto had experienced in months. Jiraiya was, underneath the perversion and the dramatic entrances and the decades of grief, a genuinely brilliant man. He was also the closest thing to a grandfather figure Naruto had left, now that Hiruzen was gone. The Toad Sage knew it. He didn't say it, but he treated the boy with a gruff tenderness that leaked through the bravado in quiet moments. A hand on the shoulder when Naruto stared too long at a sunset, a flask of water pushed across the camp table when the boy forgot to eat. Naruto spent the evenings upgrading Jiraiya's gear. He sealed a communication tag into the sage's mesh armor that allowed direct contact with Jarvis. He reinforced the man's sandals with cushioned insoles because Jiraiya had been walking the world for 30 years and his feet were a disaster. He even tried to give the man a pair of tinted sunglasses. "I'm good, kid," Jiraiya said, waving them off. "They have built-in UV protection and a miniature chakra-sensing overlay. I'm keeping them." Anko was a different kind of travel companion. She was loud. She was forward. She ate enough dango to fund a small nation's agriculture sector. She also, when the campfire was low and the night was quiet, told stories about her past with a rawness that made Naruto's throat tight. About Orochimaru's betrayal, about the curse mark on her own neck, about the years of suspicion and isolation that followed. "They looked at me the same way they look at you," she said one night, poking the fire with a stick. "Monster, weapon, thing. And now," she grinned, "it was sharp and real and a little broken. Now I eat dango and scare Jinin and pretend it doesn't still hurt." Naruto looked at her. Purple hair, mesh bodysuit, trench coat, a personality like a thrown kunai, all edge and speed and aimed at something. "For the record," he said, "you're terrifying and I respect it immensely." Anko threw a dango skewer at his head. He caught it without looking. "When you're older, kid," she said, and didn't finish the sentence and didn't need to. JRIS in Naruto's earpiece said nothing, but a notation was quietly added to a certain list. Tanzaku Town. Noon. Hot. Crowded. Naruto found Tsunade in the third casino they checked. She was at a card table in the back, a pile of losing chips in front of her, a sake bottle at her elbow, and an expression on her face that said the world owed her money, and she was here to collect, and she was losing badly at that too. She was beautiful, in the way that a sword was beautiful, sharp and bright, and capable of cutting you in half if you held it wrong. Blonde hair and pigtails. A green jacket. The necklace, the first Hokage's crystal, worth more than most estates, hanging between collarbones that could bench press a building. Shizune, Tsunade's dark-haired assistant, the quiet anchor to the Sanin's chaos, stood behind her holding a pig, an actual pig, named Tauntaun. Naruto had read the file and still found it surreal. "That's her," Jiraiya said, standing behind Naruto at the casino entrance. "Be careful, she can sense a pitch from 50 meters. Everything I do is a pitch." Naruto straightened his tie. "Watch and learn." He walked through the casino. Heads turned. A 13-year-old in a tailored suit with a glowing chest and a floating drone wasn't exactly standard clientele. He reached the card table, pulled out the chair across from Tsunade, sat down. Tsunade didn't look up from her cards. "Whatever you're selling, I'm not buying." Senju Tsunade, granddaughter of the first Hokage, inventor of modern medical ninjutsu, current record holder for longest losing streak in the Land of Fire's gambling circuit. Naruto leaned back in his chair. Also, the next Hokage. Tsunade looked up. Her brown eyes were hard, assessing. They swept over him, the suit, the core, the drone, the sunglasses, and landed on his face. "You're the Uzumaki brat, the one who builds things." "Guilty." "Jiraiya's behind you, isn't he?" At the door, trying to look casual. Tsunade glanced past Naruto, saw Jiraiya, sighed the sigh of a woman who had been found by the one person she'd spent 20 years successfully avoiding. "I'm not going back to Konoha." "Yes, you are. The hat is a death sentence. Everyone who wears it dies. Everyone dies. The hat just makes it mean something." Something flickered in her eyes. Pain. Old, deep, familiar. "My brother died for that village. My lover died for that village. I'm not losing anyone else." "Hiruzen died for that village too," Naruto said. His voice shifted. The charm peeled back and underneath was something steady and warm and unbearably honest. "He was my grandfather. Not by blood, by choice. He was the only person in the entire village who looked at me and saw a kid instead of a weapon." Tsunade's hand tightened on her cards. "He's gone now, and Konoha needs someone. Not a politician, not a warmonger, a healer, someone who looks at a broken village and sees a patient worth saving." The casino was loud around them. Cards shuffling, chips clinking, people laughing and losing and not caring. In the middle of it, two people sat across from each other and talked about grief and duty, and what it meant to carry a name that weighed more than the person wearing it. Tsunade set her cards down. "You talk a good game, kid, but talk is cheap. Then let's make it expensive." Naruto leaned forward. I'll bet you that necklace. Tsunade's hand went to the crystal instinctively. Her eyes narrowed. If I land one clean hit on you, you come back to Konoha and put on the Hokage hat. And if you don't, then you keep running. I'll walk away. You never hear from me again. Tsunade stared at him. She studied his face the way she studied a patient, looking for the lie, the weakness, the fracture point. She found nothing, because there was nothing to find. The boy was telling the truth. He always told the truth. That was the terrifying thing about him. One hit, on me, on you. Tsunade stood, her chair scraped backward. She rolled her shoulders, cracked her knuckles. The sound was like small arms fire. Outside. Now. The main street of Tanzaku Town cleared in roughly 40 seconds, once people realized that the blonde woman and the kid in the suit were about to fight. Jiraiya grabbed a seat at a tea stall and ordered popcorn. Unko sat on a rooftop, dangling her legs, eating dango, watching with the expression of someone at the best show they'd ever attended. Shizune tried to intervene. Lady Tsunade, please, he's a child. He challenged a Sanin. He's a dead child. Tsunade's fists clenched. The ground cracked under her feet. Just her standing there, flexing her hands, cracked the cobblestones. Naruto tapped his wristband. The Mark 46 deployed. Nanites erupted from the band in a wave of red and gold, flowing across his body like liquid metal finding its shape. They formed plates, sealed joints, locked gauntlets, sealed the faceplate. The chakra core blazed to life in his chest, 0.3 seconds. Deployment complete. Tsunade watched the transformation with wide eyes. She'd heard the stories. Seeing it was different. JRVIS, combat mode. Profile, Senju Tsunade. Loading, sir. Tsunade Senju, Sanin level. Specialty, superhuman strength via chakra control. Known to level buildings with a single punch. Medical ninjutsu expert. Regeneration technique. I recommend not being hit. Noted. Dance protocol. Don't let her tag me. Understood, sir. Also, she looks annoyed. She always looks annoyed. It's part of her charm. Tsunade charged. She was fast. Frighteningly, absurdly fast for someone who spent most of her time at card tables. Her fist came at Naruto like a missile. No wind-up, no telegraph. Just explosive forward motion from 0 to building demolition velocity in a heartbeat. Naruto dodged. Boot thrusters fired in a lateral burst, sliding him 6 feet to the right. Tsunade's fist hit the cobblestone street, and the street ceased to exist. A crater 15 feet wide opened up where Naruto had been standing. Shockwaves rippled outward. Shop windows shattered. A cart of watermelons disintegrated. That's a lot of property damage for a medical professional, Naruto said, hovering 10 feet above the crater. Hold still and there'll be less. She leapt, straight up, 40 feet, closing the distance to his hover point in a single bound. Her kick scythed through the air, an axe kick with enough force behind it to split a mountain. Naruto boosted backward. The kick passed inches from his faceplate. The wind pressure alone rocked his thrusters. JARVS, Combat Analytics. Predict her pattern. Sir, her pattern is hit extremely hard in whatever direction you currently are. The analytics suggest not being in that direction. Helpful. Tsunade landed. Cratered the street again. Charged again. Her fists were a blur. Left jab, right cross, spinning back fist, rising uppercut. Each punch displaced air with a thunderclap. Each punch could kill a man 3 times over. Naruto dodged them all. The Mark 46's thruster system gave him 3-dimensional mobility that no ground-based fighter could match. He flew backward, sideways, upward, around, reading her patterns through the HUD's real-time motion tracking, staying 1 step ahead, always 1 step ahead. Tsunade was getting frustrated, and Tsunade frustrated was Tsunade dangerous. Stop running. She slammed both fists into the ground. The entire street buckled. A shockwave erupted outward, not a targeted attack. A wide area demolition pulse. Buildings cracked. The tea stall where Jiraiya was sitting tipped over. The Toad Sage grabbed his popcorn and leapt to a rooftop without spilling a kernel. Naruto couldn't dodge the shockwave. It was everywhere. The suit stabilizers fired, compensating, but the force still rocked him. He stumbled in midair. Tsunade saw the opening. She jumped, and this time, Naruto let her hit him. Not the face, not a limb, the chest piece. He angled his body so her punch, that legendary mountain-breaking god-tier punch, hit the chakra core housing dead center. Wham! The impact was seismic. Naruto rocketed backward, smashing through the wall of a building, through the building, out the other side, and into the street beyond. He bounced, skidded, and cratered into a fountain. Water erupted in all directions. Tsunade landed, breathing hard, fists smoking from friction. She stared at the destruction. JRVIS. Naruto said from inside the crater, "What's the energy reading on that hit?" "Roughly equivalent to a small explosion, sir. The chest piece absorbed it beautifully." "Noted. Recalibrate and fire." The Mark 46 rose from the crater. Every plate was dented. The right shoulder guard was cracked. The faceplate had a hairline fracture across the left eye. The chakra core blazed, not with its own energy, but with hers. The kinetic force of Tsunade's punch, absorbed by the reactor's impact conversion system, stored and ready her own power, aimed back at her. Naruto raised his right hand. The gauntlet glowed white-hot. Unibeam! Full conversion! The beam fired. Tsunade's own strength converted to directed energy, amplified by the chakra core, focused through the suit's lens array. A pillar of blue-white force that lit up the entire street. Tsunade crossed her arms, braced. The beam hit her guard and drove her backward. Feet carving trenches in the cobblestones, arms shaking, teeth gritted. She slid 50 feet and slammed into a stone wall hard enough to crater it around her body. The beam cut off. Dust settled. The street was destroyed. Every vendor within 100 meters had fled. A dog barked in the distance. Somewhere, glass was still falling. Tsunade sat in the wall crater. Her jacket was shredded. Her arms were red and trembling. She was breathing like she'd sprinted a mile. Naruto walked toward her. Slowly. The suit was damaged, dents, cracks, one thruster misfiring. But he walked with the easy confidence of someone who had already won and was just letting the moment breathe. He stopped 3 feet in front of her. The faceplate opened. In his right hand, held between 2 fingers, was the necklace, the first Hokage's crystal. He'd caught it mid-flight when the chain snapped during the Unibeam blast. "Is it better to be feared or respected?" he said. "I say, is it too much to ask for both?" Tsunade stared at him, at the necklace, at the kid who'd just taken her best shot, stored it, and fired it back with interest, at the blue eyes behind the cracked faceplate that held the same stubborn fire she'd seen in her grandfather, in her brother, in Dan. She laughed, loud, real. The kind of laugh that shook dust from shoulders that had been carrying it for 20 years. The kind of laugh that sounded like a dam breaking and everything behind it, good and bad and old and new, rushing through at once. "You impossible little brat," she said. Naruto held out his hand, the one with the necklace. "Come home, Tsunade." She took the necklace, put it on, stood up, brushed dust from what was left of her jacket. "If I hate the job, I'm blaming you. I'll build you a very comfortable chair and sake. Unlimited supply. I own 3 distilleries. You're 13. And?" Tsunade looked at him for a long moment. Then she flicked him on the forehead, hard enough to rock his head back. "You've got a smart mouth, kid. I've got a smart everything." She walked past him, toward Jiraiya and Shizune, and the remains of what had once been a nice street in a nice town. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. She was going forward. Tsunade became the 5th Hokage on a Thursday. The ceremony was held in front of the Hokage Tower. The entire village attended. Tsunade stood on the balcony in the white robes and the red hat and looked out at the people and hid the trembling of her hands behind the railing. Naruto stood in the crowd. No suit, just civilian clothes and sunglasses. He watched her take the oath. He watched the village cheer. He thought about the old man and the pipe, and the blanket draped over him on a hospital bench. The legacy continued. That night, Naruto was in his workshop calibrating the Mark 46's impact absorption array when JIS spoke. "Sir, 2 unknown chakra signatures approaching the village. Both are S rank. One is suppressed but massive. The other is actively hostile. They entered perimeter sensor range 4 minutes ago." Naruto set down the tool. "Who?" Cross-referencing with known profiles. The suppressed signature matches Itachi Uchiha. The hostile signature matches Kasame Hoshigaki, the monster of the hidden mist. Both are registered Akatsuki members. The Akatsuki, the organization of S-rank missing nin that collected tailed beasts like trading cards. Naruto had known they were coming. He'd known since Jiraiya had first mentioned the name, whispered it actually, as if saying it too loud would summon them. Where? East Road, approaching the Hot Springs district. They appear to be headed for the residential sector. "Sir, they're heading for you." Naruto stood, cracked his neck, tapped the wristband. JARVIS, Mark 46, full combat readiness. Deploying, sir. And sir? Yeah? We have a problem. We always have a problem. That's what Tuesdays are for. He launched from the workshop roof and streaked across the village sky. He found them on the east road, 100 meters from the village walls. Two figures in black cloaks with red cloud patterns. The uniform of the Akatsuki. Even in the dark, even at distance, the killing intent rolling off them was enough to make lesser ninja collapse. Kasame Hoshigaki was enormous. 7 feet tall, blue-gray skin, gills on his cheeks, teeth filed to points. He carried Samehada on his back, the legendary sentient sword that ate chakra like candy. He looked like a shark had decided to become a person and only made it halfway. Itachi Uchiha stood beside him, smaller, quieter, black hair tied back, red Sharingan eyes spinning slowly in the dark. He carried himself like a shadow, present but barely there, as if he existed at a lower volume than the rest of the world. Naruto landed in front of them. The Mark 46's thrusters kicked up dust. The chakra core blazed in his chest. The red eyes of his faceplate locked onto both targets. Gentlemen, this is a no-soliciting zone. Kasame grinned. All those shark teeth gleamed. This is the Jinchuriki? He's smaller than I expected. And you're larger than I expected, which is saying something because I expected a lot. Kisame reached back, grabbed Samehada. The bandages writhed. The sword was alive, squirming, excited. It could sense the chakra inside Naruto, the Nine Tails energy. A feast beyond anything it had ever tasted. Samehada practically vibrated. Your sword has an appetite problem, Naruto observed. So does my unibeam. Shall we compare? Kisame charged. No warning, no preamble. He was fast for his size, inhumanly fast, the kind of speed that came from decades of killing and a body that was part monster even without the sword. Samehada came down in a vertical cleave that would have split a house in two. JARVIS, chakra absorption threat detected. Switch to non-chakra combat mode. Switching, sir. All chakra-based output systems offline. Reactor energy systems active. The suit's protocol shifted in a millisecond. The repulsors didn't run on chakra. They ran on the chakra core's converted energy output. Pure kinetic thermal force, not raw chakra. A distinction that mattered exactly now. Naruto raised his left gauntlet and caught the blade. The impact rang across the countryside like a bell. Samehada's scales ground against gold titanium alloy, tearing for purchase, trying to eat through the armor. The sword tasted the suit's energy and recoiled. It was like biting into a live wire. The output was energy, not chakra, and Samehada couldn't metabolize it. The sword hissed, confused, hungry, frustrated. Your sword is hungry, Naruto said, holding the blade in place with the gauntlet's hydraulic grip. Mine has a laser. Repulsor blast! Right gauntlet, point-blank range. The blast hit Kasame in the sternum and launched him backward. He skidded across the road, Samehada dragging trenches in the dirt behind him, and came to a stop 30 feet away, upright, barely phased. The man's durability was absurd. Not bad, kid. Kasame rolled his neck. Most people don't block Samehada, usually because they don't have hands afterward. I'm not most people, but you already knew that. Kasame raised Samehada overhead. Chakra gathered, massive, heavy, ocean deep. The air turned thick with moisture. A water release was forming. Naruto didn't wait. Unibeam! Sustained fire! The chest piece opened. A continuous beam of converted reactor energy poured from the chakra core, blue-white, screaming, the kind of brightness that left after images on your retinas for hours. Naruto held it steady, painting a line of light from his chest to Kisame. Kisame brought Samehada up in front of the beam. The sword absorbed, tried to absorb. The energy hit the blade and Samehada shuddered. The scales rattled. Cracks appeared along the flat of the blade, glowing white at the edges. The sword was overloading. Naruto poured more power in. The beam intensified. Samehada screamed, an actual sound, a shriek of an animal being force-fed more than it could hold. The cracks widened. Light erupted from between the scales. Sustained fire! Maximum duration! 2 more seconds of sustained output. Samehada's cracks spiderwebbed across the entire blade. The scales shattered outward like shrapnel. The sword's internal structure, the biological core that gave it sentience, ruptured. Samehada broke, shattered into 3 smoking pieces that scattered across the road. Kasame stared at his broken sword. His grin died. For the first time in what was probably decades, the monster of the hidden mist looked genuinely stunned. You broke Samahada. I break a lot of things. It's a whole brand. Naruto surged forward, thrusters blazed. He closed the distance in a fraction of a second and slammed a repulsor gauntlet into Kasame's chest at full power. Repulsor blast! Close quarters! The blast detonated on contact. Kasame flew backward like he'd been hit by a freight train. He smashed through a building, the entire building, front wall to back wall, out the other side, and into the building behind that. Masonry collapsed. Dust billowed. A donkey tied to a post nearby brayed an alarm. Kasame didn't get up, not immediately. And when he did, eventually, minutes later, it was with the slow, grudging movement of something that had been put down hard and was rethinking its life choices. Naruto turned to Itachi. The Uchiha hadn't moved, hadn't drawn a weapon, hadn't activated his Sharingan beyond its resting state. He stood in the road with his hands at his sides and watched the entire fight with an expression that might have been carved from stone. Naruto Uzumaki, Itachi said. His voice was soft, measured, the voice of a man who chose every word the way a surgeon chose a scalpel. Itachi Uchiha. Naruto's faceplate opened. I know who you are. Genius, prodigy, murderer. Gave up everything for his little brother. His blue eyes met Itachi's red. I respect it. Doesn't mean I'm going to let you touch me. Itachi's Sharingan shifted. The three tomoe blurred. The pattern changed. A pinwheel of black on red. The Mangekyo Sharingan. The eye technique that had ended the Uchiha clan. Tsukuyomi. The world flickered. For exactly 3 seconds, Naruto saw the beginning of the illusion world. Red sky. Black moon. Crosses. Blades. A realm where Itachi controlled time and space and could torture a mind for 72 subjective hours in the span of a second. Then JRS intervened. The Genjutsu countermeasure. A chakra disruption layer embedded in the helmet's neural interface, specifically designed to detect and counteract visual cortex-targeted illusions from Sharingan-class ocular techniques. Activated. The countermeasure pulsed. The red sky cracked. The illusion fractured like a mirror struck by a hammer. The pieces fell away. Naruto blinked. He was standing on the road. 3 seconds had passed. JRVS, Genjutsu countermeasure? Held, sir. Estimated 3 seconds of exposure neutralized. The illusion was extraordinarily powerful. I recommend not allowing a second attempt. Good. New rule, we don't look Uchihas in the eye. Adding to the operating manual, sir. Right under, don't challenge Sanin to fistfights, and always carry a spare reactor. Itachi's Mangekyo faded back to the standard Sharingan. Something shifted behind those red eyes. Surprise. Recognition. The understanding that his most powerful technique, the technique that had broken Kakashi, that had shattered trained Anbu, had been countered by a 13-year-old's headset. You planned for this, Itachi said. I planned for everything. It's exhausting. And the sword. You knew Samahada couldn't absorb your energy. The chakra core converts the Nine-Tails chakra into reactor-grade energy. Different frequency, different composition. Your partner's sword can eat raw chakra. It can't eat what I produce. Same reason the Prita path would fail if pain ever tries to send it after me. Itachi went very still. You know about pain. I know about everything, Itachi. I built a global intelligence network while other kids were learning to climb trees. Silence stretched between them. 2 geniuses, 2 weapons, 2 people who carried burdens that would crush anyone else. Itachi turned away. He walked toward Kasame, who was pulling himself out of rubble with the slow determination of a man who refused to stay down on principle. We're leaving, Itachi said. We what? The mission is over. Kasame looked at Naruto, looked at the suit, looked at the smoking remains of Samahada. He swore, creatively, in 3 languages. Then he limped after Itachi. The Uchiha paused, looked back once. His expression said nothing. His eyes said everything. Naruto watched them disappear into the dark. The faceplate closed. The suit's external sensors tracked them until they were outside the perimeter. JRVIS. Log the encounter. Full analysis. I want to know everything about Itachi's Mangekyo pattern, the chakra frequency of the Tsukuyomi attempt, and an updated combat profile for Kasame without Samahada. Already compiling, sir. And sir? Yeah? That was reconnaissance. They weren't trying to capture you tonight. I know. They'll be back. I know that too. Naruto hovered above the road. Below him, the village slept. Above him, the stars turned. Then I'll be ready. 2 years, Jiraiya took Naruto on a training journey. 2 years across the elemental nations. a grand tour that was part combat training, part diplomatic mission, part intelligence gathering, and part the most technologically advanced road trip in recorded history. The Mark series advanced at a pace that would have made weapons manufacturers weep. Mark 47, a stealth variant. Matte black plating, sound-dampening seals on every thruster, a full electronic countermeasure suite that could jam chakra sensors within a 5-mile radius. Naruto used it to infiltrate 3 Akatsuki safe houses, download intelligence from their communication seals, and leave without tripping a single alarm. Mark 48, heavy ordnance, twice the armor of the 46, with reinforced repulsor arrays capable of sustained fire for 90 continuous seconds. He tested it by blowing a hole through a mountain. Jiraiya watched from a safe distance and quietly added 3 pages to a notebook he never showed anyone. Mark 49, medical variant. A suit with integrated diagnostic tools, auto-injector systems for field medicine, and a precision surgery laser that could operate at the cellular level. He gave the blueprints to Tsunade as a gift. She called him a show-off. She used the laser the next day to save a man's severed spine. Mark 50, nanotech, full nanotech. Deployed from a single storage seal tattooed on his right wrist. A permanent modification, the ink mixed with microscopic nanite seeds that could generate the full suit in 0.4 seconds from skin contact. The suit grew around him like a second skin, red and gold, every plate formed to atomic precision. It was lighter than the 46 but stronger, faster but more controlled. The chakra core integration was seamless. Kurama's energy flowed through the nanotech like blood through veins, powering every system simultaneously. And Kurama, the nine-tailed fox, the ancient demon, the existential rage that had terrorized the shinobi world for centuries, was, reluctantly and with considerable profanity, learning to cooperate. It happened in the mindscape. Naruto visited Kurama's cage regularly during the training trip. He walked through the sewer of his own subconscious, past the dripping pipes and the stagnant water, to the massive gate with the paper seal, behind which 2 enormous red eyes glowed in the dark. "Hey, Fox. Go away, brat. Can't. We need to talk about the reactor. I don't care about your ridiculous toy. You should, because right now, the seal filters about 15% of your chakra into the core. I can increase that to 60, maybe 80. Direct feed, no seal degradation, no leakage, pure, clean energy conversion." A rumble, deep, the sound of something massive shifting behind the bars. And what would I gain from this arrangement? Better working conditions. Right now, your chakra leaks through a seal designed by a guy who's been dead for 13 years. Half of it dissipates. Wasted energy. My reactor doesn't waste anything. Every drop of your power gets used, amplified, focused, weaponized. You'd be stronger through me than you'd ever be smashing things on your own. Red eyes narrowed. Teeth the size of houses gleamed in the dark. "You want to keep fighting me?" Naruto continued. "Fine. Or you could let me plug you into the reactor and we both get unlimited power and I stop having to argue with you." Silence. Long, heavy silence. "You're the most annoying vessel I have ever had." "I know, it's a gift." Kurama didn't agree immediately. It took 3 more conversations, 2 arguments, and 1 incident where Naruto nearly died fighting a group of rogue ninja in Rain Country, and Kurama poured chakra into the reactor instinctively, saving both their lives before the fox admitted, through gritted fangs with all the grace of a cat being put in water, that the arrangement was acceptable. "Don't mistake this for friendship," Kurama growled. "Wouldn't dream of it. Or trust. Of course not. I still hate you. I'd be worried if you didn't." The partnership was brutal, grudging, and spectacularly effective. With Kurama's conscious cooperation, the chakra core's output jumped by orders of magnitude. The Mark 50 wasn't just a suit anymore. It was a force of nature wearing human shape. Meanwhile, Naruto's empire grew. Uzumaki Industries. He'd rebranded from Stark Industries quietly because the original name was a borrowed legacy and Naruto Uzumaki was building his own. Expanded across the Fire Country. Power grids, communication networks, agricultural automation, medical equipment. The daimyo's court was full of technology that Naruto had designed and licensed, and every piece of it generated revenue that fed back into the workshop. Other nations noticed. The Wind Daimyo inquired about purchasing electrical generators. The Water Daimyo sent an envoy asking about desalination technology. Even the isolationist Lightning Country made discreet inquiries through intermediaries. Naruto sold to everyone. Power grids didn't take sides. Running water didn't care about your allegiance. Jiraiya watched all of this and wrote everything down in a book that no one was ever allowed to read. He wrote about the boy who built miracles and couldn't sleep at night, about the genius who flirted with waitresses and cried when he thought no one was looking, about the weapon who was, underneath the armor and the bravado and the impossible technology, still a kid who had never been hugged enough. He titled it The Saga of the Iron Gutsy Ninja and told no one. 2 years passed. Naruto turned 15. He came home. The sonic boom hit Konoha at 10:47 a.m. on a clear morning. Naruto descended from 12,000 feet in a full-power dive, the Mark 50 deploying mid-fall in a cascade of red and gold nanites that caught the sunlight and turned him into a falling star. He pulled up at 300 feet, killed the dive speed with a massive thruster burn that rattled every window in the commercial district, and landed in the village square with a metallic thud that cracked the cobblestones. The faceplate opened. He was taller, broader. His jawline had sharpened. His blonde hair was longer, swept back. The baby fat was gone, replaced by the lean, defined architecture of someone who'd spent 2 years pushing a body enhanced by Ninetales chakra through the most advanced physical conditioning program ever designed. He wore the suit like it was part of him, because at this point it was. People stopped. Vendors, civilians, ninja, children, everyone within line of sight of the village square froze and stared. Miss me? The reaction was instantaneous. The children moved first, running toward him, shouting, "Iron Man! Iron Man!" with the uninhibited joy of kids who'd grown up hearing stories about the boy in the flying armor. Civilians followed, shopkeepers who remembered the power grid installation, the hospital renovation, the heated water pipes that had survived 2 winters without a single failure. The ninja were slower, more cautious, but they came too. Chunin, Jonin, even a few Ambu who materialized on nearby rooftops and watched with the quiet assessment of professionals recognizing a superior asset. Kakashi appeared beside him. The Jonin was leaning against a lamppost, book in hand, single eye curved in a smile. "Welcome back. Kakashi-sensei, still reading smut in public? Still building weapons of mass destruction in basements? Absolutely. Good. Tsunade wants to see you. She missed me. She said, and I quote, 'Tell the brat if he doesn't report to my office in 10 minutes, I'm throwing his workshop into the sun.' She missed me." He reported to the Hokage's office. Tsunade was behind the desk, the comfortable chair Naruto had custom built for her, ergonomic, heated, with a built-in sake warmer in the armrest. She looked up from a stack of paperwork and fixed him with brown eyes that were simultaneously exasperated and relieved. "You're taller. You're beautiful. I'm old enough to be your mother. That hasn't stopped me from flirting with anyone else." Tsunade threw a paperweight at his head. He caught it without looking. She smiled despite herself. "Welcome home, brat. Happy to be here." Team 7 reassembled that afternoon. Sakura had changed. 2 years under Tsunade's tutelage had turned the earnest girl into something formidable. Her taijutsu was lethal, her medical skills were extraordinary, and her analytical mind had sharpened to a point that made even JRVS take notice. She'd cut her hair short. She wore combat boots instead of sandals. She looked at Naruto and didn't blush. She grinned. "About time, genius. Sakura, you look like you could punch through a wall." "I can punch through 3. I'm proud and slightly concerned. Sasuke was different too, quieter than before, if that was possible, but the quality of the silence had changed. It was less angry, less rigid. 2 years of probation under Kakashi's supervision had ground down some of the sharp edges. He'd trained hard. His Sharingan was fully matured. His taijutsu was crisp and dangerous. The curse mark on his neck was a faded scar, present but powerless. He stood at the edge of the training ground with his arms crossed and said nothing when Naruto arrived. Then he nodded. Once, Naruto nodded back. It was enough. 3 weeks later, at 6:14 a.m., JAS's satellite network, 37 chakra-sensing drones in geostationary orbit above the elemental nations, the most advanced surveillance system ever built, picked up a distress signal from the hidden sand village. "Sir, emergency communication from Sunagakure. The Kazekage has been abducted." Naruto was in the workshop eating breakfast. He set down his chopsticks. Which Kazakage? Gaara of the desert, sir. He was appointed 6 months ago. He was taken during a nighttime assault on the village by 2 Akatsuki members, Deidara and Sasori. The chopsticks snapped in Naruto's hand. Gaara, the boy he'd caught, the boy he'd carried to the medics, the boy who'd sent him a letter 2 months ago. Awkward, formal, stilted, the letter of someone who'd never had a friend and was trying very hard to learn. JIS, how long ago? Approximately 4 hours, sir. Kakashi's team has been assigned to the mission. Estimated arrival in Sunagak 5 hours. 5 hours, Naruto stood. What's my flight time to Suna? At maximum sustained speed in the Mark 50, 40 minutes. And the Akatsuki's estimated location? Based on trajectory analysis and known Akatsuki hideout patterns, a cave system in the river country border region, approximately 80 miles northeast of Sunagakure. Send Kakashi's team the coordinates. Tell them not to hurry. Sir, Tsunade will want a formal mission briefing before. Jending coordinates, sir. Naruto suited up. The Mark 50's nanites flowed from his wrist and covered his body in less than half a second. The chakra core ignited. Kurama's chakra surged through the reactor. He launched from the workshop roof and broke the sound barrier before he cleared the village walls. 40 minutes. Desert below him. Sand and wind and the baked dry emptiness of the land of wind stretching to every horizon. The Mark 50 cut through the atmosphere at speeds that left a visible contrail, a red and gold streak across the blue sky that the Sand Village sentries saw coming from 20 miles out and mistook for a meteor. He landed in Sunagakure's central plaza. The impact cratered the sandstone. People screamed. Ninja drew weapons. Kankuro, Gaara's brother, the puppet master, his face painted with war markings and his body half-wrapped in bandages from a fight he'd clearly lost, was the first to reach him. You're the Iron Shinobi. Uzumaki Naruto. I'm here for Gaara. He was taken by 2 Akatsuki. I tried to follow, one of them Sasori. He poisoned me. If Sakura hadn't, Kankuro stopped. His jaw clenched. They have a head start, ours. I know where they are. Kankuro stared. How? Because I have 37 drones in orbit that can track a chakra signature across a continent. Which direction did they go? Naruto didn't wait for the answer. He already had it. He fired his thrusters and streaked northeast, leaving Kankuro standing in a plaza full of confused sand ninja, staring at the sky. The cave was sealed with a barrier. A 5-seal barrier, tags placed at 5 locations within a mile radius that had to be removed simultaneously to open the entrance. Naruto scanned the barrier with the Mark 50 sensor suite. JRVS analysis. 5-point barrier. Remote anchor tags at compass positions. Simultaneous removal required. Or, sir, you could simply overpower the barrier with a concentrated unibeam at the central seal point. The barrier's chakra density is approximately less than the Mark 46 punch-through at the invasion. Significantly less, sir. Then we don't need 5 people to pull tags. Naruto raised both arms. The nanotech reconfigured, gauntlets widening, channeling systems aligning. The chakra core surged. Unibeam, barrier break. The beam hit the cave entrance. The barrier resisted for exactly 7 seconds. Then it shattered, all 5 anchor points blowing out simultaneously as the central seal collapsed under the focused energy output. The cave entrance exploded inward. Rock and dust billowed. Naruto flew through the opening into the cave. Inside, Gaara, lying on a massive stone platform, unconscious, a spectral energy pulling something vast and terrible from his body. The extraction jutsu, the Akatsuki's technique for removing tailed beasts. It was incomplete. They'd only been at it for a few hours. Shukaku was still inside Gaara. Barely. 2 figures flanked the platform. Deidara, blonde, one eye hidden behind a scope, hands literally mouths that chewed clay into explosive art. Sasori hunched inside the massive puppet Hiruko, a scorpion tail curving overhead. Deidara looked up. His visible eye went wide. What the? Who broke the barrier? Naruto landed in the cave. The suit's lights illuminated the space in red and gold. Earth is closed today. Deidara's grin was immediate and manic, an artist seeing his canvas. Oh, I've heard about you. The Jinchuriki with the tin suit. Yeah? Well, art is an explosion. He reached into his clay pouch. His hand mouths chewed. A bird formed, white clay, elegant, C1 grade. He threw it. The clay bird flew at Naruto and detonated on contact with his chest plate. Boom! Smoke and fire filled the cave entrance. Deidara laughed. The smoke cleared. Naruto stood exactly where he'd been. The Mark 50's nanotech plating was undamaged. The explosion's energy had been absorbed by the suit's kinetic conversion systems. JAIS? Energy absorption from that blast? Minimal, sir. Clay-based explosive. Roughly equivalent to a standard explosive tag. The suit barely noticed. Barely noticed. Hear that, ponytail? You're just charging my battery at this point. Deidara's grin faltered. He reached deeper into the pouch. Both hand mouths chewed frantically. Clay shaped itself. Larger, denser, C2 grade. A dragon. It erupted from his palms and filled the cave with beating wings and explosive fury. C2, dragon. The dragon fired a volley of clay bombs from its mouth. Dozens of them, raining down on Naruto like a hellstorm. Nano shield, full dome. The Mark 50's nanites reconfigured instantly. Plates shifted, expanded, formed a dome of interlocking hexagonal shields. The clay bombs detonated against the shield. Each explosion was absorbed. Converted, stored, the barrage lasted 10 seconds. When it stopped, Naruto lowered the shield. His suit's energy reserves had increased by 12%. You know, in another life I'd hire you. Explosive engineering is an underappreciated field. I'll show you explosive, Deidara screamed. He went to C3. A massive clay sculpture, a doll-like figure, 10 feet tall, packed with enough explosive force to level a fortress. It dropped from the cave ceiling directly above Naruto. C3, super sculpture. Naruto didn't dodge. He raised one hand. Repulsor lance. The Mark 50's new weapon, a focused beam 3 times more concentrated than a standard repulsor blast, compressed into a needle-thin line of annihilating force. It punched through the C3 sculpture like a javelin through paper. The sculpture split in half, fell in 2 pieces on either side of Naruto, and detonated harmlessly against the cave walls. C4, Deidara whispered, his voice dropping from fury to something colder. Microscopic, gets inside you, detonates from within. He opened his mouth. A cloud of invisible microclay erupted from between his lips. Millions of nanoscopic explosive particles, invisible to the naked eye, designed to infiltrate a body's cellular structure. The cloud reached Naruto. The Mark 50's nanites intercepted it. At the molecular level, Naruto's nanotech recognized foreign particulate matter. The suit's filtration systems, originally designed for chemical and biological threat environments, upgraded over 2 years of paranoid engineering, identified the clay particles, isolated them, and disintegrated them with focused micro-energy pulses before a single one penetrated the suit's surface. JARVIS, what was that? Microscopic clay explosive, neutralized. Rather elegant design, actually. Don't compliment the enemy's weapons. My apologies, sir. It was a professional observation. Deidara stared. His ace in the hole, the invisible, unavoidable, guaranteed kill technique, had been swatted like a fly. How? That's impossible. Nobody can see C4. Nobody can. Repulsor lance, one shot. The focused beam hit Deidara's clay bird, the one he kept hovering near as an escape vehicle, and detonated it midair. The explosion sent Deidara spinning across the cave, trailing smoke, arms flailing, and slammed him into the far wall with enough force to crack the stone. He slid down the wall, conscious, barely. His scope was cracked. His coat was shredded. His hand mouths opened and closed dumbly, chewing air. You, sit down, Naruto said. The adults are talking. He turned to Sasori. The puppet master had been watching, silent, calculating. Inside Hiroko, the poison tail twitched. Naruto walked toward the extraction platform. Toward Gaara, the scorpion tail struck, fast, lethal. A needlepoint tip coated in poison that could kill in 3 minutes. Naruto caught it. One gauntlet. The tail tip ground against nanotech plating and accomplished nothing. You're Sasori of the Red Sand. Puppet master. Former sand ninja. Turned yourself into a puppet because you were afraid of getting old. The faceplate tilted. That's sad. Not in a threatening way. Just sad. The Hiroko shell erupted. A dozen hidden weapons launched. Senbon, kunai, poison gas canisters. The Mark 50's sensor suite tracked every single one. The nanites formed micro-shields at each impact point. Nothing touched Naruto. Shall we skip to the part where you show me the real body? Naruto asked. Hiroko cracked open. Sasori emerged, his true form. A boy's face on a puppet's body, beautiful and empty. Red hair, dead eyes, A human heart in a glass cylinder in his chest, the only living piece of him. He extended his fingers. Chakra strings erupted from each one. Behind him, a scroll unfurled. 100 puppets, the Red Secret technique, his masterwork, the army that had conquered an entire nation. 100 autonomous combat units, armed with blades and poison, connected by threads of chakra, surrounding Naruto on all sides. JARVIS, threat assessment. 100 autonomous hostile units. Chakra string operated. Recommend wide area countermeasure. Yeah, do the thing. The Mark 50 shoulder compartments opened. 50 small hovering units launched, smart targeting drones, each one the size of a fist, each one equipped with a precision microlaser capable of cutting through chakra-dense material at ranges up to 100 meters. The drones spread across the cave in a swarm pattern. JRVS's targeting AI identified every chakra string, every single thread connecting Sasori's fingers to his puppet army, and assigned a laser to each one. Fire. 50 simultaneous microlaser cuts. The strings severed. All 100 of them. In 2.1 seconds, 100 puppets collapsed. They hit the cave floor in a cascade of wood and metal in silence. Sasori stared at his empty hands. His fingers twitched. The strings reformed and were cut again immediately. The drones had predictive algorithms. They cut the strings before they could fully reconnect. His army was dead. His strings were severed. His greatest technique, the achievement of a lifetime, 100 years of puppet mastery, was lying in a wooden heap on a cave floor. "You cut my strings," Sasori said. His voice was flat, empty. "I cut your strings, your supply line, and frankly, your ego. You spent 100 years becoming a puppet. I spent 3 years building a suit. Guess which one wins?" Sasori's core pulsed. The human heart in the glass container. The last living thing inside a body that was otherwise wood and metal and nothing. Naruto targeted it. A single low-power repulsor pulse fired from his right gauntlet. The pulse hit the heart container and disrupted the chakra mechanism that powered the puppet body. Sasori froze. Every joint locked. Every system stopped. He stood there, motionless, a beautiful boy made of lies and wood, unable to move. Chiyo, Lady Chiyo, the ancient sand elder who'd been pursuing the Akatsuki with Kakashi's team and had arrived at the cave entrance just in time to see the puppets fall, walked slowly into the cave. She looked at Sasori, at the heart in the glass. "He could have lived a normal life," she said quietly. "Some people choose the wrong kind of forever," Naruto said. He looked at Sasori. The puppet master's eyes, the only thing that could still move, tracked between him and Chiyo. There was something in those eyes. Not anger, not defeat, relief. "Finish it," Sasori said. Naruto did. The heart stopped. The glass cracked. The puppet boy fell. Naruto caught him, too, laid him down gently. Even the enemies deserved that much. Then he turned to Gaara. The extraction jutsu had failed, disrupted when Naruto had broken the barrier and taken down both operators. Shukaku was still inside Gaara, battered, diminished from the incomplete extraction. But there, Gaara's eyes opened, pale green, exhausted. He looked up at the red and gold figure standing over him. "Naruto." "Hey Sandy, long time." "You came?" "I always come. It's a character flaw." He carried Gaara out of the cave. Personally. The Mark 50 could have deployed a medical drone, could have called for the sand medics, could have done any number of efficient, logical things. He carried Gaara in his arms because some things mattered more than efficiency. The Sand Village medics were waiting outside, dispatched from Suna the moment Naruto had cratered their plaza. Tamari was with them. She ran forward the moment she saw her brother. Kankuro was there too, his face pale with residual poison, held upright by sheer stubbornness and family loyalty. He stared at Naruto. You're the Iron Shinobi. Uzumaki Naruto. Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist," Tamari finished. Her arms were crossed. Her teal eyes tracked him with an intensity that had nothing to do with combat assessment and everything to do with the fact that this boy had just saved her brother. Again, her voice was steady. Her chin was up, but her eyes were wet. "She knows my work," Naruto said to Jace quietly. "I respect that. Shall I note that down, sir?" "Note it down." Tamari wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She walked forward, stood in front of Naruto. She was taller than him, for now. She looked down at his faceplate. "Thank you," she said. The words were simple. They carried everything. "Don't mention it." She punched his shoulder. The nanotech absorbed the impact. She didn't care. You're still an arrogant brat. I prefer confident visionary. I prefer arrogant brat. I'll grow on you. You already have. She walked away before he could respond. Naruto watched her go. The faceplate hid whatever expression was on his face, but J.I.S. noted an elevated heart rate and wisely, professionally, and with great restraint, said absolutely nothing. The meeting with Itachi happened 4 days later. No Akatsuki mission, no ambush, no Kisame. Just Itachi Uchiha sitting alone on a rooftop in a border town, wearing civilian clothes, a simple dark robe, his Akatsuki cloak folded beside him. He looked thin, tired. His eyes were closed against the setting sun. Naruto landed on the rooftop in the Mark 50. The thrusters cut out. He stood across from the man who had murdered an entire clan. You're not here to fight. They sat. 2 people on a rooftop as the sun went down, and the light turned everything gold, and the shadows grew long. Itachi told him the truth, all of it. The Uchiha clan's planned coup d'etat against Konoha's government. The impossible choice given to a 13-year-old boy. Watch your family start a civil war that would destroy the village, or destroy your family to save the village. Danzo's manipulation, the elder's complicity, the third Hokage's grief. Itachi had chosen the village. He'd killed his mother and father with his own hands. He'd slaughtered every man, woman, and child in the Uchiha compound. He'd spared only Sasuke, his little brother, the only person in the world he loved more than the village. And then he'd made Sasuke hate him, because hatred was simpler than truth, and a boy fueled by vengeance would survive where a boy consumed by grief might not. He joined the Akatsuki as a double agent, feeding intelligence to Konoha, monitoring the organization from within, dying slowly of a disease that was eating his lungs and his eyes and his remaining years. Naruto listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't judge. He sat on that rooftop and heard the confession of a man who had turned himself into a monster so that the people he loved could live. When Itachi finished, silence settled over them like a blanket, heavy, warm, full. You gave up everything, Naruto said finally. Your family, your village, your brother's love, your life. Yes, that's the most Tony Stark thing I've ever heard. Itachi blinked. What? Never mind. Old memory. Naruto stood. The Mark 50's nanites caught the last light of the sun and blazed. I'll keep your secret, but when the time comes, Sasuke will know the truth. I'll make sure of it. If he finds out from you, he'll be angry, he'll grieve, and then he'll heal, unlike the other option. Naruto put his faceplate down. The red eyes glowed in the dying light. Part of the journey is the end, Itachi. Let your brother have a real one. He fired his thrusters and lifted off the rooftop. That rose into the evening sky, became a red and gold star against the purple dusk. Itachi watched him until he disappeared. Then he sat alone on the rooftop for a long time, watching the stars come out, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope, small, fragile, impossible. But there, months passed. The Akatsuki moved in shadows. Naruto built in light. Then pain came to Konoha. The warning arrived 30 seconds before the first impact. JRVS's orbital sensor network, all 37 drones covering every approach to the village, detected 6 S-rank chakra signatures converging on Konoha at high speed from the northwest, not approaching, arriving as in. Sir, 6 hostile signatures, all S-rank, identical chakra frequency. They appear to share a single source. Pattern matches known intelligence on Pain, the leader of the Akatsuki. Naruto was in his workshop. He'd been calibrating the Mark 50's new repulsor lance modules. He stopped. 6 bodies, 1 controller. Rinnegan. Confirmed, sir. They're already inside the perimeter. 30 seconds. That was all they had. Naruto moved. He activated the village communication network, a system of chakra-amplified broadcast seals installed across Konoha's infrastructure over the past 3 years, connected to every public speaker, every emergency siren, every ninja communications frequency. His voice boomed across the entire village. Attention, Konoha. This is Uzumaki Naruto. We have a situation. Evacuate the civilian district now. All active ninja to defense positions. And somebody tell Tsunade to wake up. Then the sky broke. The Deva path descended from above. A single figure, orange-haired, pierced with black chakra receivers, Rinnegan eyes rippling with concentric circles of impossible power. He hung in the air above the village center like a dark star. 5 more paths materialized across the village perimeter. Each one different, each one deadly. The animal path already summoning massive creatures. The Asura path, its body splitting open to reveal mechanical limbs and missile launchers. The human path, the Naraka path, the Prita path. 6 gods of death, wearing dead men's faces, controlled by a single mind from miles away. The attack began everywhere at once. Naruto launched from the workshop. The Mark 50 deployed mid-stride, nanites flowing from his wrist, covering his body in a wave of red and gold. The chakra core blazing to life. He was airborne in 2 seconds, climbing assessing. The HUD flooded with data. JARVS tactical overview. 6 paths engaging simultaneously across the village. The animal path has summoned 7 large creatures in the southern district. The Ashura path is engaging the barrier team at the east gate. The human and Naraka paths are moving through the residential sector. The Prita path is advancing on the Hokage Tower. The Deva path is hovering above the village center. It has not yet engaged. Casualty projections? If all 6 paths are allowed to operate freely for the next 5 minutes, catastrophic. Then they don't get 5 minutes. Naruto dove. The Ashura path was the closest. A mechanical nightmare, its body splitting open like a toolbox of horrors, missile pods extending from its shoulders, laser arrays jutting from its forearms, its face a dead man's expression bolted onto a machine's frame. It saw Naruto coming and fired. A salvo of chakra missiles streaked upward. Naruto grinned inside his helmet. Finally, someone who gets it. Smart missiles. Counter salvo. The Mark 50 shoulder pods opened. 20 micro missiles launched in an intercept pattern. Each one found an incoming missile, collided, detonated. The sky above the east gate erupted in a chain of mid-air explosions, fireworks of war, and through the smoke and fire Naruto came screaming in like a red comet. He hit the Asura path at full speed. His right gauntlet grabbed its mechanical torso. His left gauntlet pressed against its chest. Repulsor blast, point blank. The blast tore through the Ashura path's body like paper. The mechanical frame flew apart, arms spinning one direction, legs another, the head bouncing across the cobblestones. The black chakra receiver shattered. The path dropped, dead, dismantled, lying in a heap of scrap that Naruto's engineering had out-engineered. 1 down. 5 to go. The animal path had summoned chaos in the southern district. A giant dog, a giant bird, a giant rhinoceros, a chameleon that turned invisible. Massive creatures stampeding through residential streets, crushing buildings, sending civilians screaming. Naruto redirected. Thrusters blazed. JARVIS anti-summon protocol. Loading, sir. I've designated each summon with individual targeting solutions. Fire at will. The Mark 50's drone complement, 15 smart targeting mini drones, each one armed with a precision repulsor emitter, launched from back-mounted compartments and swarmed the summons. They targeted the black chakra receivers embedded in each creature's body, the control mechanism, the thing that kept them tethered to the summoner. 15 simultaneous micro-repulsor strikes. Each one hit a receiver. Each receiver shattered. The summons went rigid, lost cohesion, and dissolved into smoke. 7 massive creatures. Gone in 4 seconds. The animal path looked up from the street. Its renegade eyes tracked Naruto overhead. He hit it with a repulsor lance from 100 meters. The beam punched through the path's torso and out the other side. It 2 down. The human path was in the residential sector. Its power, the ability to rip souls from bodies on physical contact, had already killed 2 Chunin who hadn't retreated fast enough. It moved through the streets with patient, horrible purpose, reaching for anyone who came close. Naruto arrived and didn't let it touch him. The Mark 50's mobility was 3-dimensional. The human path's was not. Naruto strafed from 50 meters, firing controlled repulsor bursts that hit the path from angles it couldn't defend. Each blast pushed it backward, kept it at range, denied it the physical contact it needed. Repulsor barrage. Containment pattern. 8 rapid-fire blasts in a circle. The human path staggered, fell. The final blast hit it in the head, 3 down. The Naraka path was harder to find. It had retreated into an alley using the King of Hell jutsu, a massive spectral demonic head that emerged from the ground, capable of restoring other paths. Sir, the Naraka path is regenerating the animal path. If it completes the restoration, it won't. Naruto found the alley. The King of Hell was halfway emerged from the ground, its massive tongue wrapping around the fallen animal path's body. The Naraka path stood behind it, hands on the ground, channeling chakra. Chakra interference pulse. The chess piece emitted a targeted waveform, not a beam, not a blast, but a disruption frequency designed to scramble chakra channels in a localized area. The same principle he'd used to break Orochimaru's barrier 3 years ago, refined and miniaturized. The pulse hit the king of hell. Its chakra channel fractured. The massive head screamed, a sound that made bones ache, and collapsed back into the ground, dissolving. The Naraka path's connection severed. It stumbled. Repulsor blast! One shot. The Naraka path went through a wall and didn't get back up, 4 down. The Preta path was advancing on the Hokage Tower. Its ability, chakra absorption. It could absorb any ninjutsu, any chakra-based attack, and nullify it. Against a normal ninja, it was invincible. Against Naruto, it was a mistake. The Preta path raised its hands as Naruto approached. Barrier ready. Absorption fields active. It stood between Naruto and the Hokage Tower like a wall. Naruto fired a single repulsor blast. Low power. Testing. The Preta path absorbed it. The blast hit the absorption field and disappeared. The path smiled. Or its face attempted something that might have been a smile. Naruto fired again. Full power. The Preta path absorbed it. Its hands shook. The absorption field flickered. Naruto linked both gauntlets. The chakra core surged. Kurama's power roared through the reactor. Unibeam! Sustained fire! The beam hit the Preta path's absorption field. The field held for 2 seconds. 3. The path was absorbing energy at a rate that would overload any normal ninja attack in milliseconds. But the chakra core's output was not normal. It was reactor energy, converted, purified, limitless, fed by a tailed beast who had agreed to cooperate. The beam didn't weaken, it didn't pulse, it poured. The Preta path's absorption field overloaded at the 4-second mark. The barrier cracked. Energy surged through the cracks, flooding the path's body with more power than its systems could contain. The Preta path detonated. Not a poetic detonation, a physical one. The body burst apart from internal energy overload, scattering black receivers across the street. 5 down, 1 left. The Deva path. Nagato's primary vessel, the strongest of the 6. The body that wielded the Rinnegan's most devastating power, gravity manipulation. Shinra Tensei, Bansho Tenin, Chibaku Tensei, the ability to push, pull, and reshape the fabric of the physical world. It stood in the village center, alone, hovering 3 feet above a crater that had once been a marketplace. The orange hair was still. The piercings caught the light. The Rinnegan eyes stared forward. Naruto landed across the plaza. The Mark 50 was smoking, not damaged but running hot. 5 paths in 8 minutes. The suit had been pushed harder than any single engagement in its history. JRIS status. Mark 50 at 78% structural integrity. Chakra core at full output. Weapon systems fully operational. Energy reserves substantial, sir. This is the strongest one. I know. The Deva path raised its hand. Shinra Tensei. Gravity inverted. The world pushed. A hemisphere of invisible force erupted from the Deva path. A massive, indiscriminate gravitational repulsion that expanded outward in every direction. Buildings that had survived the first wave of attacks crumbled. Streets broke apart. The ground itself lifted, cracked, became rubble. The shockwave hit Naruto at full force. The Mark 50's mass-compensating thrusters fired instantly, pushing against the gravitational wave. Naruto was driven backward, boots carving trenches in the shattered ground, armor groaning under the impossible pressure. Warning lights screamed across the HUD he held, barely. The thrusters whined. The nanotech reinforced critical joints. Kurama poured chakra into the reactor. The Shinra Tensei passed. Naruto stood in a landscape of destruction. Half the village center was flat. Buildings for 300 meters in every direction were rubble. JARVS. Damage report. 42% structural integrity. Chest piece holding. Right arm offline. Both knee joints compromised. Power levels? The chakra core absorbed significant kinetic force on impact. Net energy gain, substantial. He'd taken a god's gravity attack and come out of it with more energy than he'd started with. Naruto slowly stood up from the crater. The suit repaired itself in real time. Nanites flowing from undamaged sections to rebuild compromised areas. The right arm came back online. The knee joints reset. Structural integrity climbed back towards 60%. Noted. The Deva path stared. For the first time since arriving, something other than calm entered those Rinnegan eyes. You survived the almighty push. Survived it, absorbed it, made a profit. Naruto's faceplate was cracked. Through the crack, one blue eye was visible. Want to try again? Bansho Tenin! The opposite force, gravitational pull. The Deva path extended its hand and Naruto was yanked forward. The suit, the armor, all 300 pounds of nanotech and genius, dragged across the plaza like a rag doll. The Deva path's fist connected with Naruto's faceplate at point-blank range, enhanced by Rinnegan chakra. The crack widened. The HUD scrambled. Naruto grabbed the Deva path's wrist. Thanks for getting close. His chest piece was pressed against the Deva path's torso. The chakra core was inches from the enemy's center of mass. Put everything into the chest piece. Sir, everything. Rerouting all power, auxiliary systems offline, thrusters offline, weapons offline, shields offline, communications offline, life support minimal. All available energy diverted to Unibeam. The suit went dark. Every light died except one, the chakra core. It blazed. Not blue-white, not gold. Something beyond color. Something that existed at the boundary between energy and intention. Kurama's voice, deep in Naruto's mind. You're going to kill yourself. Not today. The Unibeam fired, zero distance. Every joule of stored energy, the absorbed Shinra Tensei, Kurama's full contribution, the reactor's own output, the kinetic energy harvested from 5 consecutive path battles, focused into a single point of contact against the Deva path's chest. The beam didn't look like a beam. It looked like the sun opening an eye. The Deva path tried to use Shinra Tensei to push back. For a fraction of a second, gravity fought energy. The plaza between them became a point of convergence where physics screamed and reality bent. Energy won. The beam punched through the Deva path. Through it. Out the other side. The gravitational field collapsed. The path's body vaporized from the chest outward. The shockwave erased the smoke. The impact carved a trench 300 meters long through what remained of the village battlefield. The sky split. A pillar of light visible from 20 miles away that made the clouds part and the birds scatter. And every living person within 10 miles stop and look up and see the death of a god. Deva path was gone. On a ridge miles away, behind a barrier of paper, Nagato, the true pain, the Rinnegan wielder, the emaciated man in the walking machine, coughed blood. He felt all 6 paths die. Felt the connection sever. Felt the emptiness where his extensions had been. He sat in his machine and stared at the sky where the light had been and understood, with the certainty of a man who had called himself a god, that he had just met something that God should be afraid of. Konoha was devastated. But standing, the civilians had evacuated, 30 seconds of warning and 3 years of drill protocols that Naruto had insisted on installing. Shelter capacity, emergency routing, communication networks. The difference between a destroyed village with dead people and a destroyed village with living people hiding safely underground. Nobody had died. Buildings could be rebuilt. Streets could be repaved. Walls could be raised. But people were irreplaceable. And every single person in Konoha was alive, because a boy had built a warning system and a communication network and evacuation shelters and had then personally destroyed 6 demigods in 8 minutes. Naruto stood in the wreckage of the battlefield. The Mark 50 was barely working, one arm, half a chest plate, cracked visor, smoking thrusters. He looked like he'd fought a god. He had. Sir, I said quietly. The AI's voice came through a damaged speaker, slightly distorted, but steady. Always steady. You are operating at 11% structural integrity. I recommend ceasing all combat operations. Yeah, Naruto said. I think I'm done. The faceplate, what was left of it, opened. The cracked visor retracted in stuttering sections, revealing his face. Bruised, bleeding from a cut above his left eye, mirroring the same spot that had bled in that warehouse 8 years ago. Exhausted in a way that went beyond the physical and into the place where the soul kept its bruises. But alive. He looked at the village, at the rubble and the dust and the silence that follows destruction. Then at the shelters, and the shelter doors opening. People emerging, blinking in the light, looking around at the wreckage with wide eyes and trembling hands. They looked at him. He looked at them. Tsunade came running from the Hokage Tower. Her heels were broken. Her jacket was torn. She'd been coordinating the evacuation and medical response from the moment the attack began, and she hadn't stopped moving for 8 straight minutes. She reached him, stopped, stared at the suit, at the trench, at the empty air where 6 S-rank threats had been. You? I'm fine. You are very clearly not fine. I'm standing. That's my definition of fine. Kakashi landed behind him. The Jonin was battered. He'd been defending the East Gate during the battle, holding off summons and debris with everything he had. His vest was shredded. His Sharingan was covered. He put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. It was a heavy hand, a steady one. The hand of a teacher who had just watched his student do something impossible and was trying to find the right words and couldn't find any that were big enough. Good work, Kakashi said. I know. And then, at the edge of the battlefield, standing among the rubble with his arms crossed and his dark eyes fixed on Naruto, Sasuke, he'd come to the fight. Of course he had. Probation or no probation, the village was under attack, and Sasuke Uchiha did not sit in a room while his home burned. He'd fought alongside the defense forces. He'd held a sector. He'd protected civilians. He stood there now, saying nothing, just being there. Naruto looked at him. Sasuke looked back, and something passed between them that didn't need words. Something that said, I'm here. Something that said, I know. Naruto took off his sunglasses. His eyes were tired, deep blue, bloodshot, carrying every ounce of the weight he'd been carrying since the day he was born, and then some. They were the eyes of someone who had just saved the world and would do it again tomorrow and the day after that, because that was the job, and the job never ended, and the only rest that existed was the kind you stole between the cracks. Is it better to be feared or respected? He said quietly. To no one, to everyone, to the rubble and the sky and the ghost of a man in a cave. He looked at the village, at the people, at the faces, frightened, awed, grateful, alive. I say, it's too much to ask for both. He smiled. Small, real, the kind that costs the glasses back on. JAR via S. Start the Mark 51 specs. Prioritize the chest piece. Always, sir. And call Ichiraku. I need 12 bowls. Already ordered, sir. Tochi says, and I quote, tell that idiot to sit down before he falls down. Tell him I'll sit when I'm dead. I anticipate he'll find that answer unsatisfying, sir. He usually does. Naruto walked through the village, battered, half a suit, one gauntlet sparking, sunglasses somehow intact, his boots crunched over rubble. His shadow stretched long in the afternoon sun, the shadow of a boy who'd been told he was nothing by a world that was only now beginning to understand how wrong it had been. The people watched him pass, from the shelter entrances, from the rubble piles, from the rooftops where ninjas sat exhausted and staring and trying to process what they just witnessed. Then quietly, someone started clapping. A civilian. A woman Naruto had never met, standing in the doorway of a building that had lost its roof but kept its walls, her children behind her, her eyes wet. She brought her hands together once, twice, then someone else, a shopkeeper, then a chunin, then a child, then another, then more. The sound built, from a whisper to a wave, clapping, across the ruins of a village that had just been attacked by a god and survived because one boy had refused to let it fall. Naruto didn't stop walking, didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge it with a wave or a bow or any of the gestures that politicians made, but the corner of his mouth lifted, just barely, just enough, the smallest expression of something that Tony Stark had felt standing on a stage and Naruto Uzumaki felt walking through rubble, and they were the same feeling across lifetimes and dimensions, the knowledge that you had built something that mattered. I am Iron Man, he said it quietly, under his breath, to the air and the dust and the memory of a man who'd snapped his fingers and saved a universe and left behind a legacy that refused to die. The clapping followed him all the way home. He walked into his workshop. The door closed behind him. He stood in the quiet, surrounded by tools and blueprints and the soft hum of machines that he'd built and that had built him. The Mark 50's remaining nanites retracted into the wristband, leaving him in torn clothes and bruised skin and the chakra core pulsing steadily in his chest. He sat down on his workbench, breathed, just breathed. Sir, just said. The AI's voice was soft, careful, the tone reserved for moments that mattered more than data. Yeah, you saved them. All of them. Naruto looked at his hands, scarred, calloused, the hands of a builder, the hands of a boy who'd been given nothing and made everything. Yeah, he said, we did. We, sir? You, Me, Kurama, the suits, the drones, the sensors, the evacuation system, the communication network, all of it, every piece. He leaned back, stared at the ceiling. None of it works alone, J.R. Vyas. Tony Stark learned that the hard way. Took me a while too. You learned it faster, sir. Don't get sentimental on me, buddy. I would never, sir. It's simply an observation. Naruto closed his eyes. For one moment, just one, the weight settled. All of it. The dead man's memories and the demon's power and the village on his shoulders and the friends he'd fought for and the enemies he'd broken and the world that kept spinning and the work that never ended. It settled and it was heavy and it was his. He opened his eyes, picked up a wrench, stood. Mark 51. Chess piece first. I've already begun the design specifications, sir. Good. New reactor housing. I want triple layered containment. After today, we're not operating at safe limits anymore. Sir, we have never operated at safe limits. Then we're not operating at unsafe limits anymore either. We're going beyond. Beyond unsafe, sir. Beyond everything. The wrench turned, the bolt moved, the work began again, because that's what he did. That's what Tony Stark did. That's what Naruto Uzumaki did. That's what they would always do, across every life and every world and every version of the story that had ever been told or ever would be. They built, and somewhere, in a place between worlds, between the memory of a man who'd saved a universe and the reality of a boy who was still saving his, a voice said, quiet and warm and impossibly proud, "That's my kid." And the wrench turned, and the world got one step closer to tomorrow, an Iron Man built on.
And that's the story of Naruto Uzumaki, the kid who was supposed to die in a warehouse and instead rewrote history. If this hit different, smash that like button, subscribe because we are just getting started, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's go!